Oh, trying to get over this cold.
I think I'm finally over mine. It's a little hoarse still though.
Yeah.
Right, welcome back, Danny.
Yeah, welcome back.
I came in Thursday for just a little bit because I had a meeting in George.
Yeah.
And Wednesday I did the health board meeting live, so.
Oh,
I was sounding like this.
you did go to it. You drove down to it? Oh, that's right, because I knew that you had cake.
Felt bad that they were having a little going away and I was gonna stay home and I thought, you know, I'm getting there, I'm okay. I'm gonna go down and be a little unhealthy at the health board.
It's okay.
Are we on?
Yeah, we are.
Good morning, it's 8:30. We are here with Tom Gaines for the Director of Central Services, our weekly update. Over.
Good morning, Commissioners. Is Commissioner Jones joining us this morning?
I have not heard.
Okay.
Barb, Caitlin, do you know if Rob's joining us?
We have not heard. He is not online, but we'll keep an eye out.
Thank you. On consent number 3, the ARPA request, as we discussed last week, for Central Services requesting ARPA funds for $91,000. These funds are for the Apodex equipment installation of the large public works meeting room. And I would remind the board that when we originally did this, it was with Sam Castro and he had approved it and we had ordered this, but what he did with the funds, I don't know. And it was apparent in the public works update with Andy and John and the board last week that they were not necessarily aware, but we
So
do.
they purchased is all the stuff purchased?
Yes.
It just isn't installed. And the install is 91 grand?
It's the install and the purchase of everything is 91 grand. We haven't paid the invoice yet. So, that's total. But it was approved by the former director. And that's why we had gone forward with it. So.
I'm just gonna throw out there that we haven't really discussed it as an ARPA thing, and I'm not sure we're gonna wanna approve it today.
Yeah.
But, did we tie a lot of that, all the other stuff we put in here to COVID? I'm just trying to figure out if we propose this, is it gonna be non-county, county? Because if we can tie it to COVID, we can put it in non-county, because we want to put a lot of the county stuff toward the more.
We did, I don't know that we tied it to COVID. We used some ARPA funds for the district court, did we not, for the same thing, for Apodex, for upgrades?
I believe so.
Yeah, and I don't know what bucket we used there, if it was county or
I
non-county.
believe it was county. But, you know, part of the reason that we're doing all this stuff is the fact that people can go remote in case of another pandemic or whatever you could have.
Well, and that's very true in this case, and it's a very robust conference room suite that uses their large conference room, but will also separate into 2 conference rooms using the same equipment. So they can either have one large conference or they can have 2 separate conferences running simultaneously or meetings. And that is very much supporting, remote participation. Can we tie it to
Not
COVID?
ignoring you, I'm writing notes about
No,
this.
yeah, I understand. So tie it to COVID, I don't know. It's a response to a plan for a future pandemic. If there was one, we would have the ability, we would be ready. There's a number of ways I suppose you could spin that, so.
Yeah. Not difficult. It's not difficult to
Right,
take it out
right.
of county funding.
Yeah.
But I would like to shift it down there if we could, because we have enough funds left in there to handle that. And I've got my list going of the ideas to try to make sure we're done by the time December 31st hits, as to how we allocate this wisely, so.
No, I understand. Secondly, on consent, number 24 is a purchase order through GCTS for Rock Dove Solutions. This is an annual software renewal for in case of crisis, which was the Safety Center app. This is used heavily by the Sheriff's Office. It's used by facilities and some others, most heavily by the Sheriff's Office though. And this is budgeted software expense out of 501170.
Okay, I didn't realize it was a previous one.
Yes, this is not new. We've been using this for a number of years.
Do you like this? I mean, I've been trying to figure out how to deal with this table change.
I don't like it at all. I wish it were back where it was.
But if it's gonna stay there, I was thinking maybe it is better sitting up here and you sitting right there as close as you are.
Yeah, and the camera angles and, I'm afraid we may have to, redo quite a bit of this stuff to make
I
it.
was watching online. I mean, that's exactly what I saw when I was at home. And I could see all the commissioners and the people at the table. I thought it was okay that way. But, I guess I like the personal
Yeah.
connection of being right across the table from you and that kind of stuff. But
I would, my vote would be to revert back to the way it was. I understand the concern. I think in the
It is a
future.
little different. I think it's getting, but when we've gone to others like Davenport, the commissioners sit here and I believe the table is right in front of them, so you're actually closer. But again,
Yeah.
you're more in the middle instead of the edge.
It's difficult here a little bit because of the types of meetings we have and the way we utilize the room. It's not just the commissioners' hearing room, so a lot of different people use it for different reasons. But then the commissioners also have a lot of meetings where you are at the table directly across from whoever it is you're meeting with. And I think there is
We've always chosen to do,
well, and I think that's a personal connection that's lost in a lot of counties. I mean.
Yeah.
I can't get my commissioners in Spokane County to even call me back, right? So the fact that you can walk into Grant County and sit down across the table from your elected official, your commissioner, I think is something that is lost in a lot of Washington. And
well, I almost feel like if we could tilt the table. it
that's
even
just
would be
me.
better.
I'm sure
Yeah.
that there's, maybe your clerks of the board are cringing right now saying, shut up, Tom, but I don't know. So that's just my 2 cents. So I think you have to talk to a lot of people.
But we're supposed to be ready for, can't hear.
The clerks just want to throw it out there that we agree with Tom.
Oh, all right. Well, thank you for that. And Merry Christmas. I hope you like the cookies.
There's cookies up there.
there's a couple plates of cookies on our table.
Yeah,
Is that
cookies
what
and Christmas crack. So,
Oh my goodness, my wife is planning on bringing that on Wednesday. Her
um,
version, I don't know if it's the same as your version.
well, if it's like my version, once you start, you can't stop. So I do
Yeah.
not unwrap it because then
Just
I'm in
leave it.
trouble.
Just- Yeah, walk away, walk away.
Today for Central Services, I'm gonna go check out that land at the port. I haven't heard back from the port regarding these parcels. They're willing to work with us, but I don't know what our path forward is. Do we get our parcel appraised? Do we ask the port to perform that appraisal so we get a baseline cost?
We had it appraised not that long ago, but it's probably 3 years.
That 10.9 acre parcel, I don't remember getting it appraised.
Wasn't that done for the?
It was a site study. Well, we did a site study.
They wanted to purchase it, and so they appraised it. Oh, they probably have the appraisal, we don't, that's why. They
Yeah,
paid
well,
for
we
it.
would need an updated appraisal, I would think, at the very least. There's been some other commercial property sales in the area, so
You're not
that,
looking at the 10.9, you're gonna go over and look at the one they proposed.
yeah.
Okay, that one. I would think that they would,
Well, I'm sure they're willing to work with us and do that. I just don't know what we want to do for a path forward. And, do we get that appraisal first? And then do we have that chunk that they're appraising? Which is, it's not even an official parcel. It's
No.
part of a larger parcel.
so they'll have to do a,
So they're gonna have to do a boundary line adjustment or some kind of
do they have 2 parcels on there they could do a boundary, or they'll have, if they don't have another
it's,
boundary that they,
yeah, it's
Is
a little
there a
nebulous,
parcel?
right? Cause you look at it and they say, oh yeah, we've got this 4.5
because the boundary line
acres.
adjustment has to have 2 parcels to make that happen. You're just moving a line, but if there's only one, then it's a short plat.
And I don't know how that works with the port. It's, so how do they do that? The other parcel they showed us was a long and skinny parcel, which would also work. But again, it was part of a larger parcel, so they would have to do something there. The nice thing is both of them have sewer and water and power available. That is through the port. They're the permitting authority, so we're not even dealing with the city of Moses Lake. Not that, I don't have any issue with the city of Moses Lake. I've always had good dealings with them. So
But the other property, It's out there in, I thought that was the city.
It's not, so
10.9 sits on city, city UGA or something?
it's in the UGA.
Oh.
Yeah, and then the city would demand that we annex it, and, which, okay, not a problem.
Or the base.
We can annex it, but the port really does not want us to do that because it really screws up their plans. So, more to come on that. So I'm gonna go check it out and then, and I'm sorry Rob isn't here.
He's here now.
Oh, is he? Oh, okay. Good morning, Rob. So you should have received, if you can hear me, you should have received an email from NACO Housing. If you remember the 27th, the night we checked in DC, our night was unconfirmed and all the rest of the nights were. We did get a modification that the day we check in, the 27th, has been confirmed. So all of our nights have been confirmed. And I verified that yours did as well. So we're good to go there. The school district didn't receive any bids on their properties, and they have not reached out. I'm just gonna leave that there. The Afraid of
They didn't get any?
Nope, on any other parcels. The Afraid of Forward survey request is up on the website. Hopefully they'll receive a good number of views. And Danny, I know you weren't feeling well last week, but did you reach out to Michelle and ask her about her affiliation with the county administrator group?
I did not.
Okay. I could ask them, just remind you to take a look at that. I had a voicemail from Jim Nelson, and I'm gonna reach out to him this morning about a schedule of events for the bond and for the jail and the morgue. Daryl asked him to forward documents to me as he's recovering, and he wanted to talk to me before sending them. So I'll reach out this morning and see what those are and what the ideas that were floated had something to do with a couple of different bond numbers and different lengths of time and interest only and principal payments and that kind of thing. So I'll talk to Jim Nelson this morning. As soon as I get something, I'll update the board. Both GCTS and GCFM are performing year-end cleanups on projects. The fairgrounds have already started their winter work, retrofitting lighting and buildings and working on the bathrooms. There's a lot of good work happening in the winter months at the fairgrounds. There was an oversight in GCTS. We haven't, for some of the other Avidex projects we had, we didn't file notice of completions on the Avidex work. And there were 5 projects, so I'm informing the board that we did do that. We did pay retainage on those projects, which is outside of our policy because we didn't file the notice of completions. But we are filing those notice of completions. And we will do that this week. The projects were successful. They were accepted, fully complete by the county. We just, oversight on my part, I assumed that that was happening and it was not. And then I found out that Keith, who was doing it, wasn't even aware of that. So I'm training him on that now, and we will get that taken care of. So that's on me. But it could be a management letter if the state auditor did a public works accountability audit, said, how come you didn't follow your policy? So, but we will fix that. I will be off from the 23rd to the 6th, taking the use it or lose it time. So I'll be here, this week, but I will be available by phone and email. Because I am working on things. And then lastly, I have, if my last 2 minutes could be executive session, I just want to make the board aware of possible, well, to mitigate possible litigation.
Just for a second.
Okay, we're gonna go into executive session from 8:43 to 8:45.
Can you put us backstage?
All right. So, yeah, we can,
I think that'd be a good format to share that information. We'll try to get it on their schedule.
yeah, that would be great. And we can talk at length about that tomorrow.
Yeah, and I'll be online tomorrow for that meeting because I have a 10 o'clock in Cooley City. I'm gonna drive all the way back here and back to Cooley City. I'm gonna come down after that with four districts.
Okay.
They're dedicated to doing that.
All right.
Well, good morning, it is 8:46, we are here.
Tom, I would say we could think of 2 million reasons why we wouldn't pay that though.
Yes. Yes. I'll call you a little later on.
Okay.
Good morning, we
I'll
have
be there soon, not probably in an hour.
8:46, we're here with Health Services for their weekly update. I need what?
Executive session, gentlemen.
That would be appropriate.
Okay. We will have an executive session from 8:47 to, will it take the whole entire 15 minutes or, okay.
Probably.
From 8:47 to 9 o'clock and the personnel, okay. Job applicant evaluation, personnel disciplinary matters, it's probably, okay.
Yes.
All right, so we're going into executive session. Caitlin, can you put us in the backstage? I'm not. Okay, it is 9 o'clock. We are done with the executive session. No decision was made. We will be having the Kirk's Director of Organizational Services update. We are going to start that at 9:02. We're going to take a brief recess and then start that. And Rob, will you be here shortly for that?
No, I won't be in until probably 10 to 10:30.
Okay, okay.
Break. 2-minute break.
Yeah,
take
you may
advantage
take
of
one too.
Huh?
You may take one too,
Yes.
but only because he said you're doing a good job.
That's right.
If you were not doing a good job, you would sit and suffer, bud.
Well, it's not a bathroom break, it's business. I'm
Oh, okay.
doing multiple
all right.
things right now,
All
juggling.
right.
Ridiculous asking Sites, right? Dan Sites?
Sites, SEITZ. And he has been a very good hire. Just smart and calm and focused. And hopefully he is can reassure folks, building good relationships over there.
Yeah.
You guys are online, just so you know.
Yep, thank you.
Good morning, it is 9:02. We are here with Kirk Hester for our Director of Organizational Services weekly update. Welcome, Kirk.
Thank you. And I would like to ask for a 15-minute executive session, employee performance and review.
Okay, so we're going to go to executive session from 9:03 to 9:18.
Would it be the same as we had in the last session?
Personnel disciplinary matters,
Correct.
RCW 4231-10-1F. Do we need to extend? I think we're
to.
stay the course. Okay.
And actually, I have a second executive session topic in another department. So you'll take me to the end of my session in exec.
Okay, so we are out of executive session. No decision was made. We will be rolling into another executive session. What are we talking about?
Same level of conversation.
Okay,
same
so it will
category of
be, it's
conversation.
not an extension?
It is an extension of the topic we were just talking about, and I have a second in the same category for another department.
Okay,
The
okay,
two of
so
them,
it
they
is
will
still
take.
personal disciplinary matters?
Correct.
Okay, so
correct.
how long, we're gonna continue?
Until 9:30.
Okay, so we're going back into executive session for RCW 4231-10-1F. Personnel disciplinary matters, and from 9:19 to 9:30.
Resources, that kind of thing.
Commissioners,
So,
it's 9:30.
Okay, thank you. We
I
are,
did not, oh, go ahead.
just we are out of executive session, no decision was made.
I just want to let you know, I have not done anything to change signing authority, because we don't know how long this structure is gonna be. But I'll bring back some recommendations that way. Right now Barb has it and she may show me something to look at, but I did not wanna change formal process yet. Barbara,
Good morning.
hello.
Thank you, Kurt. Okay, it's 9:30 here. Barbara Baskin, clerk of the board. Welcome, Barb.
Good morning. Do you have a preference on my seating arrangement?
You take your pick.
You wanna sit on the back so you can see who's coming in, Barb?
Uh,
It's totally up to you.
Right, Jenny?
When you have that look, I think I'll be frozen in terror. I'll just be like,
Yeah.
I think you're gonna scream, but I have been scared before where I just can't even utter.
Come on.
Rarely happens.
We have Rob online, okay. Good morning, commissioners. First thing on my agenda is the ever fun pending decisions spreadsheet.
You want to take that? I'd rather go through the other list.
All the other stuff, yeah, we sure
If
can.
that's okay.
Yeah, you betcha. New incident claims, we have not received any. Ms. Caitlin is gonna give you an update on the boards and committees where we're at with some new people coming on or to be presented to you. Caitlin, are you ready for that?
Yes, hello. So there are 2 recommendations for appointment on consent this week. One is the Moses Lake Irrigation and Rehabilitation District that the commissioners looked at last week. And then one is from the Veterans Advisory Board. There are quite a few boards with expiring terms. So LTAC in its entirety expires at the end of this year. So I will be reaching out to all of them this week to make sure that they are interested in, or to see if they're interested in being reappointed or how they want to proceed. Housing Authority also has an appointment that expires this year, and I have reached out to them and I'm waiting to hear back about that.
And then Board of Equalization will be one of them, as well as Kevin Burgess is leaving there to be a county commissioner. So there's a couple of recommendations into the BOE and their first meeting of the annual, I can't see you.
Very good. Do we have alternates? Do we have alternates on that board?
There are 2,
Okay.
yes.
So for Board of Equalization, I guess you guys will talk about that later. There might only be one for BOE, one alternate. Also, I totally spaced for a second, but the Fair Advisory Committee will also have an opening because Kevin Burgess is on that committee also.
Well, go Kevin for just ruining our boards.
So the BOE will be having their annual meeting on Wednesday, and they will be talking about what they would like to recommend to the commissioners. So you'll have that for next week. Caitlin, were you done?
Yeah, that's it.
So Caitlin, will we be advertising for the BOE for the, I think the alternate will sit in place if somebody is out, is that correct?
I believe it's already been advertised.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And so we're up to 2 weeks. Thank you, Caitlin. Okay, our third item is Wasatch conference cost. What we discovered when Kirk decided not to go to Wasatch, that Kevin Burgess went in his place at the leadership conference. Wasatch is under the opinion that Kevin did not attend his hotel room the first night and just came in. Kevin did forget that he didn't see it in the email that Tina had sent him, so he was a no-show on there. So we have invoices from the hotel that got charged to the HR credit card. Tina then brought it to my attention. So just to talk it over with the board, if he had attended, it's still less than as if he didn't. So they charged him full price for 3 rooms, 3 nights. He was supposed to attend 4, he only went 3. And they charged him also $168 no-show fee. So what Tina had gathered it was gonna be like 600 and something altogether. With it going this way, it's actually $38 cheaper than if he would have went all 4 days. So the question is the board okay? Cause we're gonna have to reimburse HR for that cost.
So this is for his training, the
Leadership
leadership training?
Yeah.
Not the conference, but the leadership training?
The conference, that's called the leadership group
Okay.
conference.
So he didn't, well, Rob had the same situation, but you were able to cancel, did you cancel his room on Tuesday?
Yeah,
Yes.
we canceled mine.
Okay, and
But
Kevin
Kevin
just
didn't read the email that he was supposed to be there Monday night. He said it is his fault.
Okay,
And so, but it's less, we're being charged less than as if he did go the whole 4 nights. So the question is, how would the board like to proceed?
so
Just
we
let it-
have a bill from HR for, well, typically, if somebody's a no-show, they are personally supposed to pay for it, so if he was notified,
He wasn't notified, we got the credit card bill.
but he knew that he had a hotel room.
He didn't, he said he didn't.
Oh.
He didn't know it until we told him. But Tina sent him an email that, yes, you are supposed
I
to be
think
there.
what Cindy's saying is he
Okay.
had access to the information. It was
Yes.
provided to him.
Yes.
Prior
He
to
didn't read
leaving,
Yes,
he just,
he didn't read it all the way through, what his hotel stay was supposed to be.
okay.
Thank you.
So typically, I feel like we should follow policy, if you don't show up for a conference or something.
So he'll get the
I think,
100
that, as Rebecca says, we need to refer to policy, and our policy would say that Kevin's responsible for that invoice.
For 160 of it?
Did he get mileage?
He hasn't submitted anything yet, just the hotel bill that we got.
Well, I mean, I guess that's one way to look at it. If he didn't get mileage, the mileage on that trip was quite a bit.
Well, you should be able to submit mileage, and that would help take care of the. But I feel like we should follow policy.
You know, Kirk, if our policy talks about no-shows,
We've always treated it as if it did.
Yes, it's been
Because we
a-
always
do
had
it,
to, I know I've had to
Yeah, I don't
fill in.
I don't believe our written policy says that.
but standard practice.
We've always, okay.
So we'll see him Wednesday when he's here for your party. I can
So we can
always-
ask him to submit mileage and then deduct the hotel, whatever the cheapest rate is for the hotel that we can have him deduct.
It's a $168 invoice from the Hilton was the no-show charge. Okay, so he needs to,
So what I hear you, I think I heard you say, Cindy, was have him fill out the mileage and take the 160 out of what he would get back from mileage.
Yeah, he may have to actually write a check, accounting, he may have, sometimes I've deducted, and they've asked me to write a check to keep it clean and not just deduct it off the bottom, so I would, but there would be kind of a revenue source for him to recoup his mileage, but I feel like as the commissioners, we've always tried to, if you don't show up, it's not the taxpayer's responsibility to pay for something that you didn't show up for.
And mileage was around $300, I want to say, on that trip.
Okay, so it should be.
Yeah.
So ask the accountant if they want to check or just do deduct it from his mileage. Is everybody in agreement with that?
Let me think here for a second. I want to just kind of see wasn't that the Hilton, Rob?
yes,
Did you get government rate?
yes.
Well, maybe that's something we do need to look at in our policy. Kirk, are you listening? If it's not in there, we probably should put that in there, so. Sort of an unwritten policy.
So it's 283 miles, so that would be
But it's from his house.
560 some miles at 60 cents, yeah. 67 cents. Yeah, at least $375, you know, for the mileage.
Mileage would be more than the cost of that room.
Exactly.
And I think that if he gets assistance in saying, you didn't put in for this, but if you do, it will cover this, and you'll start with a clean record.
We can ask accounting, like Cindy said, if we want to have him write a check back or just deduct that from his reimbursement. Okay,
Yeah, I'm on board with that. Whatever's the cleanest for county.
I will talk to them about that and talk to Kevin about that. Okay, 2025 final budget adoption hearing. I wasn't here that afternoon. And in looking over the minutes that Caitlin had taken and talking with Mandy, did that final email make sense to you of what was adopted at the hearing? Because I'll tell you, being on the outside looking in, I've never been so confused. Because you didn't adopt solid numbers like you usually do. It was like, we're gonna let her figure out the amounts and then we're gonna adopt whatever that is. But it was never produced in paperwork. So my only recommendation is
If we don't have the numbers,
don't adopt it, right? Because I'm really confused by what Mandy had sent. Have you guys had a chance to look at
We're
it?
looking at it, and then, well, she put 2.88, there should have been 2.8. We can adopt the budget with the numbers we have, but not approve the,
Or continue. I realized that Tyler Tech was important, but they were saying, she said at the meeting that she couldn't go over the numbers because she had a Tyler Tech meeting. And it's like, this is the county budget adoption. To me, that takes precedent over Tyler, but I'm just me.
I agree.
But I am honestly, none of the numbers that the board approved at that hearing are matching what Mandy gave. And she gave the brief synopsis in the front page that she submitted to you of what was in the hearing.
2.8. Well, and I think there's concern that the budget that we adopt, because we did put in for positions that the departments or elected officials feel like they can move forward with those positions. So we're trying to pump the brakes on that. And look at Mandy's. Yeah, because she had different numbers as well.
And then there's still the 104,000 for the 2 vehicles for the assessor's office.
Well, that's gonna have to be, we can't add it in, so it's gonna have to be a budget extension.
In Mandy's email,
It'll
she's
kind of
like,
balance out, but
yes.
again, wasn't in the budget.
Yeah.
When we adopted it. The only thing we talked about is the COLAs. Changing of the COLA. I think that was the only change that we had. So the other stuff, we can't just squeeze it. I mean, we're gonna get in trouble. We'll do a budget extension next year and add them.
Yeah.
But we can't.
So the minutes to the hearing that I took do not match at all what the board adopted. Because they were not, it wasn't set. She had to work all these numbers to get it done.
I thought the decision was to, whatever that, if it was 2.8, whatever that 0.2%,
Right.
reduced, that would then be just shifted. It'd be the same bottom line dollar, but it would be shifted into one of the accounts as a hold for, where are we gonna put it to hold for what?
In the training and, yeah, we're not putting it in their budget, because
In training and, yeah, it wasn't gonna be not in the budget, but it was gonna be placed elsewhere. That was my understanding.
The numbers here don't match what was said at the hearing. And
You're looking it up, or you wanna see
no, I'm trying to Google it. Can a county adopt to be a budget?
the estimated budget. So what you adopted, we're gonna change these percentages and Mandy will take care of it.
Well, I thought that we were.
Well, we had a certain amount
I
of
thought that
percentages.
we were
Right.
adopting the bottom line numbers that she gave us
And that's.
and just making sure that there was another account where the saved 0.2% would go.
And the bottom line numbers do not match what she submitted to the board in that last email.
This is what she submitted.
Yes, and
And
all of
what-
this
and
paperwork,
where's your
this is what the minutes show in the words here,
370,
yeah,
370?
right, Kurt. So and all this stuff here, so that's.
So Barb,
Yes.
I know that balanced budget has to be approved. And I know that normally those amounts are read into the hearing minutes, but is that required to do?
In my opinion, yes.
So my assumption is that if there is confusion on that it is solved by processing an official document that says, in reviewing the budget numbers, blah, 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 here are the official budget numbers. And whether it's just done in the normal business meeting or done in a hearing is a guidance from the prosecutor's office, civil on legality. I know that the COLA was brought forth that don't need another meeting. But if you're saying at the official meeting to adopt the numbers were not jiving, then it may be a separate question of Rebecca to say we need to correct these numbers and passing,
Potentially, yes.
then we may need an open public.
And Mandy and I had a lengthy conversation about this, and what she was putting together it doesn't make sense in my head. Because again, like he said, when you adopt a budget, it should be just these numbers. And so
And
I just
I
wanna make
felt like
sure
it was different than Danny. I thought when we adopted it, if it was 20,500,000, we adopted it as it was 20,500,000 minus the, from the 3% that was in there, take it back down to 2%. But
So I didn't know if that email from her made sense to you
I'm trying
guys.
to look at it and just.
So, because I get confused by budget, so if she were to explain it to you, it may make more sense to you than me. But
Well, but I don't know if we legally could do that, so maybe.
Well, we'll have a
maybe
meeting
we're
with her
supposed to.
in the next hour.
perfect, that's right, she is coming in, isn't she? Because I just wanna make sure that the commissioners understand that what you adopted at the hearing is not,
The numbers
Well, and
were
then
little.
if you put the 2.59, you're gonna change it again if she does it this way.
and that's where she
Well,
put.
we can't do that, we didn't, I guess, so who told us this? We can adopt it with the numbers that we have, but we can't go higher, but we can't go lower. Were you the one, somebody
Yeah, and I
mentioned
think Mandy had talked to
MRSC, they did
MRSC.
so we can
Yes.
knock it down to whatever the actual, we had some incorrect numbers, we felt that it was at 2.8, but it was really 2.59. We could reduce it more because we're not asking for more. So if we need to adopt the budget where it's at, I
wanted to see if you want that in the minutes, because what the board adopted is not what is now correct. So would you like that in the minutes after further discussion, the board's final budget numbers are this? Or are you good with just leaving it like it's?
Barb, you're confusing me as much as her numbers confused me.
I know, I'm just so, I look forward to seeing Mandy. So hopefully she can,
I'm just gonna state my thoughts, which make sense to me.
Okay.
The two numbers in blue were what we adopted. But that was set at 3% COLA. So now that we're down to 2.59, I think we need to figure out that 0.41 difference. And make a balanced budget by placing that savings in some line item account that we can utilize it out of over the course of next year. And put it on both sides and stay with these blue numbers as the budget.
Okay.
Hopefully that will make sense to Mandy, that makes sense to me. We passed those numbers, but I just didn't want us to set COLA at 3.0 because that was not the decision. The decision was to go with CPI, and we found out later that the CPI was 2.59. So I don't care whether we need to make another motion and have another hearing.
Well, I
To
think we
me, those
can,
numbers were what we set the budget.
yeah, we
ones
can
in
adopt
blue.
the budget with the numbers that we have there. We can go lower, not higher. I'm reading this. So like you said, Danny, we can take that, whatever it's gonna end up shaking out to be for and put it in that training.
Yeah, there's gotta be some
Salary.
line item that we can put that in.
And the same with, we did mention to the sheriff too, that we, even though they're negotiating, like 6%, if it doesn't settle at that.
I just
There's a
want,
lot more to the bargaining process than just putting money in the budget.
Yeah, and that's where, well, it's in the budget, like,
and I just wanna make sure for the future, if someone says, what's your budget that was adopted, the documents match what was,
so we probably should use the
Yeah, we
numbers and then
In the
just transfer
future, I
them.
will do it perfectly.
It's a little confusing this year.
I was very
There's
confused.
hope for you, Danny, there's hope for you.
Then I didn't know how this whole $204,000 for the Wranglers played in. So you're saying it plays
doesn't.
nothing into here.
We can't put something in the budget that's not there.
And the way she explained it to me, or maybe I misunderstood, it's kind of woven in there. So I really look forward to
I don't
hearing, because
think
I'm
it's
so confused.
in there. It's not in Missy's budget. So we'll have to do a budget extension. I mean, there's some savings, but I feel like that savings from the salary should go into the salary survey and keep it salary based. Well, that's just my thought.
I'm getting stuck on the fact that, a couple of these elected officials didn't attend their budget meetings, so I don't really care if things they want didn't get in their budgets.
Well, she didn't attend it the first, but she came back. I don't know where Missy was, but Missy came back for her budget meeting. Missy was there.
For one of them,
I don't know where she was for her.
didn't attend really levy meetings until the very end. I don't know. I wasn't really impressed with how the processes went this time. I know that if I didn't show up and get something I wanted, that, no elected official would be supporting me trying to get what I was trying to get. So it's hard for me to show the same to them. And I don't think we should, honestly. It should be respected enough. It's one of the only reasons that we're a commissioner.
So you don't feel like we should, are you talking about the Jeeps?
Yeah,
Well, I think we can put it in the 2024 budget, or we'll have to do a budget
it was in
extension.
the 24 budget. That's just my
2025.
opinion. I mean, you need a vehicle, one breaks down, it is what it is. But at the same time, it was missed because they weren't at the meeting. If they're at the meeting trying to get the items they needed, they would have realized it wasn't even in the budget. So
Okay.
just kind of,
Yeah, I don't think we can slip it in the budget. We have to do, it'll have to go 2025.
Well, why not? Why aren't they spending it here in 24 if it was in the 24 budget?
Remember, she had 2 in 2024, this is a problem, and 2 in 2025. That's where Mandy thought that it's from last year's budget, so she pulled it off the budget. That's why. It wasn't, Missy didn't pull it off, Mandy did.
So we'll
So
talk
that
about her
was-
with that, the Wranglers.
But we'll have to do a budget extension to move forward on that in 2025. We can't just slip it in after our budget's been adopted.
Okay, next on my agenda is just, again, the Board of Equalization. I am working right now to get things together. As far, I guess, as I know, as I'm gonna be the new Board of E clerk. We
Who
have,
doesn't want to do it?
she's taken the other, all
Oh,
the other boards, so it just seemed fair to have me do something too. We have, the annual meetings are Wednesday, Thursday, and Monday. There are 2 alternate board members. One of them, I don't know why, has not been present over the last 6 months. So whether or not that person stays on the board, the BOE may be recommending to remove that alternate
I-
member.
Do you have an alternate member in District 3 that had?
Richard Lights.
I was gonna mention a name, but I'll tell you why he has a
okay.
name too.
Okay.
And he notified the board while I wasn't there, so I don't know why they didn't pass it on to you. Okay. It's a HIPAA.
Okay. Is he still interested in being the alternate member?
Don't know, but that's why he hasn't been there.
What was the reason?
I'll talk, it's a
Oh.
HIPAA. I'll talk to you after. about
Oh,
it.
gotcha, okay. No, I literally know nothing about the
Okay.
Board of Eat. So Jerry is gonna come in at 11 to help me at least go through the annual process that we have to do in the next 28 days. And then I've been told that the change of value notices should be going out Wednesday. So our office will be bombed with people and calls. And I've never done this before, so your patience and grace will be appreciated. Cause I've never done it before, but I'm gonna give it my best shot. So hopefully it goes, hopefully I do okay.
You will do that.
I'm gonna do fantastic. I am very nervous because this is another, legislative board, so the rules have to be followed. I will do my best. Review of 2025 schedule of meetings. I wanted to keep this on here because as you've probably seen, there's no meetings on your calendar for 2025. Rob and Kirk are supposed to go over that this week so that we can get meetings on the calendar. So hopefully you guys will be able to do that this week.
Yes, and it's not just Rob and I, it started some other conversations, I want to get some input from other folks on things that you might want to change and then propose something.
Okay, so that will be done as soon as that goes there. A couple things that I just have here. Cindy, we got an invoice for $750 from Raina for the exchange stuff. I don't know, I know it's under 5 or 10,000 that the board has, but I figured the whole board wants to see these to know what's going on. So I printed it, and I don't know, do you want these to go through the mail? Or do you want to just prove them yourself?
Don't we approve all the invoices that come through?
No, under 10,000, you don't. I don't know how the other two commissioners want to
Well, I
be.
think it's nice to know what's going on in our office. I think it's nice when it comes through. I think just wrapping it up, did you get the email? I'll wait till.
Yeah, she sent like 6 emails, I think, this weekend,
So
and that was,
roundtable or whatever to discuss.
that was part of it right there. So I thought for her to get paid, at least we could get that taken care of.
And that'll be, it used to be 133 account, but it's miscellaneous general government, it was transferred over to.
Thank you, sir. Okay, and has the board, I know you're gonna wait till 2025, I think, to appoint all the boards and committees. People have been reaching out on who's going to do what, so just the Quincy Valley Parks District and GTA have specifically reached out, and Cindy, those were yours, so.
I think I have to be on the Quincy Parks, that is a given.
So that'll probably be yours again, okay, I just wanna make sure.
Maybe not, but I think it. Again, we could probably, I just think it would be fair for a new commissioner.
And he came in last week, Kevin and his wife, so I gave him a copy of the resolution. I said, since he's the new guy, that you and Rob are gonna be picking your favorite boards and he'll get the rest. He thought it was funny.
Yeah, no, there was some of it I'd love to get rid of, but I feel like we all have some that are a little.
Yes. New guy gets,
I think I've got 3 night meetings. I'd love to get rid of a night board meeting.
well, and GTA is in Moses, is it in Moses Lake where it's held? So that would be
Yeah, Health
kind of.
Districts in Moses, GTA.
And I did explain that a lot of these meetings have virtual options, so he could do it that way as well. He sounded like he really likes to be there, so I think he's planning to try to attend as much in person as he can. So there is that. Okay, I think last week was the first week that we started reviewing the agenda for the upcoming week in case you have questions about what meetings are going on. So,
Okay, I just wanna, are we looking at changing, is Kirk and Rob are gonna meet, are we looking at changing 2025,
that's,
okay, that's a good question.
Rob is the one that wanted to talk about it, and then,
And some of that also, I mean, maybe yes, maybe no.
Okay, I just didn't.
That also gets into the question of whether the roundtable is providing what y'all need, or there's, those kind of things. Want to make sure to ask the question of
I
each.
think I'd rather get rid of the roundtable and have it more of a roundtable for commissioner, like a commissioner's work session instead of a roundtable, because I feel like we have our elected official department heads come in for our roundtable. Can't really talk about some of our things, so we talk about it in Barb's, and then that would be a time in our 2:00 meeting that we should be discussing some of those others that impact them. I don't know, I feel like we have a couple of meetings that are just, I don't wanna call them time wasters, but if they don't pertain to the elected official department head, we're asking them to come hang out for.
And I think it's worth the effort to ask commissioners whether are you getting from this what you thought you'd get from it? There is no requirement to have a meeting with Kirk if you don't want a meeting with Kirk, or if Kirk's not bringing the right
No,
things.
like roundtable, I'd rather have it like be the commissioner work. And I thought that's what it was, and it just turned into a more of a
Yeah.
public meeting, so we can't do our work session. So now we have another meeting to do a work session. But that's just my thoughts. Okay, sorry, Barb.
no, and the one thing I would love to stress, as long as you have a meeting to talk about your consent items. Because before the new commissioners were here, you did it at the consent meeting and everyone was here and you asked questions.
I still
then.
love it that way. Still love it that way.
So as long as the board can have the opportunity to ask questions, because review of the consent usually, I don't mean usually, a lot of times isn't reviewed before these meetings, so it would be good for you to be able to see these people face to face and ask the questions that you need to ask for your consent item. Because a lot of the stuff that goes on here, you have never even heard about, so it'd be nice if they can answer your questions, is my thought. So in reviewing the agenda this week, do you have any questions about your meetings coming up? Kirk, do you think there'll be PMRT today?
I do not know. I am not
It's a
the
Decorah.
MRT.
That's right, sorry. For roundtable, we do have Emily on here. She wants to talk to the board about the invoices that were previously submitted, but were not necessarily discussed at the meeting that you had with John,
For the museum.
Yeah, I called John last week after we saw the change in the insurance. And I said, I think here's some good news for you, John. This is gonna be about this much instead of what we thought.
But are we gonna adjust that because that is coming out of somebody else? So we still have to pay it. It's just gonna be reversed. So I think we need to have discussion on that one, because that's
I
another,
assumed
that's like
that
a
we had set his
50,000.
budget at 175
Yeah.
and, and this was gonna be less of it going for insurance. I thought, okay, you got some extra funds. But when I saw this on here, I said, well, no, then he should use his CD savings for this shortfall this year.
I think it would be nice to talk about his budget, because when we're pulling out an expense, a lot of times we kind of pull the revenue factor.
Mhm.
But we could keep it. I just feel like I think there's more discussion on that one.
Okay,
Can
I'm
we?
not saying I don't wanna discuss it, I was just
Okay,
popping
sorry,
off
Barb.
early.
No, we can have our Emily log in or come down to talk about during Mandy's email, because they're the two primary ones on that too,
Mhm.
that manage it.
During
Caitlin,
Mandy's update.
yes. Caitlin, can you ask Emily to attend down here at 10:30, please?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. And then the regional diversion work group interlocal agreement and contract. So I
Just a minute, Caitlin, do you mind reaching out to Amanda and just letting her know that we'll be talking about it in her update? I'm trying to make sure that we don't have updates and we change people's agenda.
Gotcha.
So I'm just trying to be cognizant of
Okay.
something we
Yes,
do.
I will reach out to her too.
Okay, thank you.
So I forwarded to Rob and Danny the regional diversion interlocal agreement and contract for your review. So
I can't see the changes. I couldn't see the marked changes. Did you guys see the marked changes? Okay, because I'm like,
Honestly, haven't looked at it yet.
oh, I'm like, maybe like it's on this one, but I'm like, I can't see.
And I honestly didn't look at it. I just forwarded it to the
So I
board.
would never.
It's like, look at, I have the marked changes in blue or something, but she said, I'm like, I can't find the marked changes.
I don't remember looking at it to begin with, so I wouldn't know if there were any changes.
Yeah, you probably
Well,
didn't.
they were in blue, so that's where my color wasn't showing up. So I was gonna ask Rebecca about that. What her changes were, because I couldn't see them.
Rebecca Kaler was working on some changes on that thing?
Yeah, she reviewed it and then wanted to know if it looked good. And then, let me find it.
Do you want me to see if I can print them with changes on there?
Well, let me look and see. Okay, maybe I'm putting too many,
So tomorrow morning, Barb,
Mm-hmm.
I'm not gonna be in the morning because of that Port District ribbon cutting. So I may be online for a couple of meetings.
Okay.
But then I'll be participating in that and then drive down on here. I'm not gonna drive down.
I share, I don't know if we want this on a shared screen, but I can share the screen and
I
show
can
you
see
the
the changes now. They're actually in red. I can see the changes now.
Okay.
I
will
wasn't
stop
able
sharing.
to. I don't know why I couldn't. I don't know if they were downloading, but I've seen them now. Okay,
So Danny, you'll be remote up until the
Until
port ribbon cutting?
I get here, yeah, after that. I mean,
Okay.
depends on when that ends. If Shane Heston is in here at 11, I may be able to get in that update.
Okay.
It's not exactly easy to catch Verizon between Cooley City and Ephrata all the time.
Totally understand. Okay, so you'll be remote in the.
yeah, Rob, are you gonna be in tomorrow?
Yes, I just have trailers coming today and then tomorrow, so it just depends on the time.
So Danny, you're gonna be here after lunch, is that what you said? Or are you coming in at all?
Yeah, I'll be remote. I'm gonna be remote for a couple meetings, but I won't be here until after lunchtime.
Okay. That's what I thought you said, but I was just verifying. And then Rob, you don't know if you'll be here or not tomorrow?
Yes, I will be there, just like today. I don't know what time. I have 2 trailer deliveries, one today, one tomorrow.
Okay.
And that's basically all I'm waiting on. And the roads slowed it down today.
So they're not very nice.
Oh, yeah.
And then Thursday, I was supposed to be in Ellensburg for this meeting from noon to 4 p.m.
Yes.
But they made that, all of a sudden they made that remote.
Oh, okay.
So at some time in the morning, I'm gonna come in.
Okay.
And then I'm gonna start in that meeting.
Okay.
And then I've gotta drive to Seattle during that meeting. Cause I'm picking up daughter and husband at the SeaTac at like 4:30, so.
I'm picking up my son on Saturday.
SeaTac?
No, Spokane, thank
Oh.
goodness. Although with this all the way to Spokane, if this is gonna stay like this, is gonna suck too.
Well, the roads down here were great compared to where I came from.
And Moses Lake has nothing.
Rose City has
poured
no,
in
it was
like,
slushy and.
ooh.
Yeah, I was
Surprised.
drifting snow and heavy snow up there at home. They weren't very big drifts yet, though. I just wonder what they're gonna be like, you know.
Danny, you may want to leave a little earlier because past looks like it's been a little gnarly up by the eastern area.
Yeah, if the weather's nasty, I may be remote all day Thursday. Just drive over Wednesday after the party.
No need to. Yeah. Also too, on the calendar is Commissioner Clarkson swearing in. It's on the pink calendar, not on your agenda.
Oh, yeah, right here. I thought it's on this one too.
Is it on that one too? I don't wanna-
That's tomorrow, right after our commissioners meeting.
Oh, it is on there. That, in trying to find out Rob and Kevin's swearing in dates, you cannot be sworn in earlier than 10 days before your time. So if she does this, and I talked to Michelle Jaderlin trying to figure this out, and I said, well, she's got her swearing in on the 17th. And she's like, I'll reach out to her because that's
Oh, it may not.
too early. Yeah.
Okay.
So hopefully
Well,
Michelle,
is she filling it's Rodell's. Is it Rodell's?
I'm honestly not
So
sure.
what you're saying is that
That
she
may
might be
not
swearing
happen.
in too early.
Yes.
She may be canceling it.
And I don't know, that must have gone through Caitlin, so somebody put that on the calendar for her to use our hearing room.
I don't remember when we got sworn in, Rob. 4 years ago. Was it clear as late as the 21st or 22nd of December?
Yeah, it was late.
We have Kevin Burgess is scheduled for.
I was excited when I saw the 17th. I was like, sweet, I'm gonna do it that day.
That's what I thought too. We could get yours in there because of convenience, but doesn't sound like that's going to happen. But Kevin Burgess is on the calendar. It's the 27th at 4 p.m. That's what worked for his schedule with him and his family. And he's asked Brian Gwynn to swear him in, so that'll be here as well.
I never ask anybody, you just set it up.
Yeah, and I'm like, who do you want to swear in for you?
Up to 10 days prior to the scheduled date of assuming office. Okay. A local elected officials commence tonight.
Yeah, so I let Michelle know, because she did not realize that either. Okay, and then the meetings for next year, I've got Kevin Burgess's PAR ready to move.
Well, Rob, it's probably not wise to throw Kevin in as the chair. Do you want him to be chair next year or do you want me? I think that's something we can agree
No, I
on.
was planning to chair next year.
Beautiful.
Okay, there's that, and so last but not, the change of the EODH partnerships, how each of you want 3 elected officials, 3 department heads. Is that still working for you? Are you
I'm gonna be
utilizing
totally
that?
honest, I have no idea who I'm over. Whoever calls, I'll help them.
So that was my thought, is that what's happening? Should we just cancel that? Is what you requested working for you how you had hoped it would? Is this something that you want to continue?
I would suggest that it continue. I think that even if they know who their BOCC member is, they can call, like she was just saying.
Yeah.
Sometimes we don't get to them before they get to us, which is fine. I mean, they can get to us, at least they know
Yeah.
that we're willing and able to meet with them and sit down over issues.
Rob, Cindy, since you'll be here next year,
I'll just go with whatever the board decides.
Rob?
Yeah, I liked it when I utilized it a little bit more. I would say in the last 9 months, I haven't utilized that well, but people that are assigned do reach out directly and they know that they're assigned, and some don't, but some do.
Okay. I just want to make sure it was working for you the way that you had intended it to. I will send out the email for next year. So Mandy will be here for budget in 15 minutes, so we can, do you have anything for me?
Well, I'm just on the travel policy as I was trying to look it up. We're just waiting for it to be, because it's been adopted, waiting for it just to be posted online.
To the
Is there
website.
anything that we can do? I mean, it just feels like it's been a year and a half, 18 months.
As far as I know, it's HR,
Okay.
so I don't know what they're. Hold on.
You have to jot that down for our meeting tomorrow with HR.
Cause it did finally just come before the board for approval, 2 weeks ago, I think it was? You
The travel
verbally
policy?
were going by it, yes, and it didn't finally get signed until 2
Oh,
weeks ago.
Approved as a walk-on 6/13/23.
And then the
We
board
just
never formalized it and signed it. And as far as I know, it still hasn't been sent out.
Maybe we need to.
Yeah. Okay. Yes, the pending decision spreadsheet.
So maybe we need to put down okay, so during Mandy's, we'll talk about the budget for the
Museum?
museum. And then I did not see where we have a budget for our travel. Okay, so on your update, Raina sent an email that said that Chris from the consultant from the port was gonna help with our travel to Kamaki City and Toyoyama. And then he was working with you. Did you know you were on board or
I have
that's
not.
news to you? Okay.
Yes.
It was news to me when Raina said that. And like, I can ask Barb, but I
Don't know what they're referring to.
was kind of a little taken back now.
I'm like, no.
And I didn't see where we had anything in our budget for 2025
Don't know.
for the
For the exchange? I do not know.
Rob, Danny, do you recall?
No, I don't. I assumed it was kind of a placeholder there, but I didn't look that
Because we
close
moved
at it.
it from 133 to the miscellaneous general government, and there's something, I guess I just needed the breakdown of the miscellaneous general government.
We can ask
Computer
Mandy.
professional services, okay. So I thought. Okay, I'll ask Mandy.
Okay, do you have any questions for me?
Any questions for Barb?
Yeah, this personnel policy, is this the archiving and whatever policy that prosecuting attorney office?
No, that was the regional diversion policy that we're talking
That's the
about
one that I
today.
couldn't find the changes in there. They weren't popping
No, I'm
up.
talking about this one.
Okay. Policy.
This is,
It's not a policy, it's a blank. It just says, doesn't have any numbers, just a total, like
I don't know
what
what it is, Danny.
a
all county
policy-
emails housed in a county email server,
Oh,
including
that's
Barracuda,
that
will be
one.
deleted after 10 years. Because we got a question or something from them as to whether we were gonna approve it, and I had sent back my thoughts on it. It seems like months ago, and I'm just wondering why it's taken so long to just come up and be approved as a policy. This has to do with how long do we keep
Oh, our
certain
email retention?
communications, yeah.
Has the full board reviewed it and approved what's being
I believe it
proposed?
was put all in front of us.
Let me Google.
Somebody gave this out last week. It was in my pile of stuff from last week.
It might have been HR or it might have been Kevin McCray.
Maybe it's not. Email retention.
Oh, wait, is it on here? Retention policy, the last thing on the human resources update last
Okay.
week. You remember them talking about it?
I don't know where I was at. Let me see if I have to. Rob, do you remember talking about the email retention policy? I'm not saying we didn't, I'm just like. Oh, I have it right here, no personnel.
Yeah, we talked about it, but I don't think we made a decision, but we may have.
Okay.
It was like 2 months ago.
County personnel policy.
Yeah, but we're talking about it last week in the HR update.
I don't
remember talking about it last week.
Yeah, I don't think we got to this. It might have been on the agenda, but we had some other issues we were dealing with. It was taking more time. I see it right here. I have the policy. I think it was just handed out and I don't recall. I was in here last week. I think we were dealing with some other issues and this didn't get fully addressed.
Yeah, I
Okay,
think-
anything else, Barb?
Nope, not for me.
Okay, well, if not, it is 10:20 and we are in recess until 10:30 when we meet with Amanda Kim and we will talk to her about this latest federal government and a plethora of other questions that have been brought up. So Barb, please stay for that other one and we can get to
Yes.
questions. Okay, so we're in recess until 10:30.
This is what you're gonna go over today?
Hey, good morning. It's 10:30. We are here with Amanda Kim from our accounting department. Welcome, Amanda. From City.
I ran for my life.
Really?
Come closer, Emily.
Okay.
Hello.
I think again.
There's something.
So, I know you guys wanna talk about the museum. You wanna go and do that first, or do you want me to go over the other items?
And it is your agenda, so you,
Okay, you can just hang on for the ride. The first thing I wanna go, we have our exit conference scheduled for next week. We are getting 2 findings, and those are the draft findings. Most of it is standard boilerplate language, with the exception of the 2 highlighted areas. On your federal side, it had 1 extra highlighted, but I wrote in there that was standard. So basically, for both of the findings, it boiled down to turnover in those staff, the people responsible for those functions. For the financial side, that's my position, Katie's position. And on the federal audit side, that's Carrie's position from Janice's position. And it's not, they list all the errors, the most significant errors that they find, but they base it based off significance and materiality, which is a percentage of our operating expenditures. So if we have an error that's 5% of our operating expenditures, it's almost like an automatic, you will get a finding for that. And we happen to have an error that was $8 million.
is that for the review of the federal? Some of the review, I think had been started, just not completed.
No, that's for that was
For
for
the-
the federal compliance side, the not being able to demonstrate that we were doing that review. So it's not saying that we didn't do it.
We can
It's just
demonstrate.
that we can't demonstrate that we did that review.
Okay, it just wasn't completed. But I don't think we'll have to be in that situation again, so. Carrie just needs to pull a file and just do a review, and then I think Carrie's even started for some of them for 2024. So you're waiting for the close out, or they've been, I think we got a handle on it. Anybody else? Kurt, you're over that department. I feel like it's been addressed and it won't happen again.
It is, yeah.
And then if we do need to, I guess we could go back and state that it just wasn't, there was staff turnover.
And I submit a corrective action plan and response, which essentially says staff will receive training and implement processes to make sure that this doesn't happen again. And they will go over the full report with you in detail on Monday, but I just wanted to make sure if you had any
Thanks
questions.
for the heads up. We don't always have a heads up here.
That we would be able to get those identified and figured out for them, so just to be efficient with their time.
Okay, thank you.
And then also included, the commissioner report was done right as I was walking out the door. So Aaron sent out the revenue expenditure reports this morning, but we didn't have them in the condensed version that we normally give in to you guys. Remember I said it's kind of a tedious running process in the background and takes a long time, and she had them ready right as I was walking out the door, so you'll get those in the email today. But again, because I didn't want to leave you empty-handed on where we're at, kind of the state of the union, we do have a budget extension scheduled for the end of the year, and these are the items that are gonna be going through that extension. The largest being related to public works and their projects. And most of that money is reimbursable. They just underestimated their projects at the beginning of the budgeting year.
Are you saying this list down here are the ones we're gonna do budget extension?
The notice that we sent out to the public had current expense bundled together. Technically, as a whole, we are not going to be over on current expense, but we are over in a couple of departments. And we're not statutorily required to do a budget extension for that, but I just thought it'd be on the safe side to go ahead and identify those departments that we are over on, officially extend for them. And that way, if something comes up last minute in current expense, we're not, hiding with our tail. We'll be in compliance with the overall fund. And so I ran a report of the budget to actuals through the end of November. So it should, and those were the only ones that were either over budget or close to being over budget. I had a bar of 9% should be remaining to cover us through December. And so all the other departments met that goal, and that's why they're not being brought forward.
Daryl's over budget again. Daryl in the jail.
Is that a report that just came out?
Yeah, I'm looking at the one you emailed. Am I not supposed to be looking at it?
No, that's fine. You can look at that one. I haven't seen that one yet.
Okay.
Oh, that's okay. And so I wasn't aware, they weren't over at the time that I ran this report, but like I said, we should be covered since we are.
Wait, maybe that was one of his funds, because we're over as well, commissioners, district court. Planning. Museum. Extension. Other than district court, those are all the departments that we're over. We're doing a great job.
And then also I included in your packet the kind of final where we ended up on the 2025 budget, making technically the board approved it at a 2.8% COLA. And so that's the figure that is in the approved budget for current expense and in total. But the actual activity reflects a 2.59% COLA. And then increased capital assets for assessor's office.
And I am worried, I feel it would make it clean, we need to put that in the 2025 budget to slide something in after we've adopted the budget after the fact. I have some reservations. I think we should put it in the 2025.
So it is now in there. And it's because it falls under current expense.
But we adopted it.
You
and then it was
adopted.
put in after we adopted it, correct?
Yes, but we decreased the figures, so we put it in using the leverage of the 2.59% call. So, and then I included and also highlight of the conversations with MRC and what our obligations are when we start to make changes to the approved budget.
Okay,
And only when we exceed it at a fund level do we have to put in a notice. We no longer are required to have any hearings, regardless, but if we wanted to exceed and have a change, we would have to do like we're doing the amendment of this year's year end is posted in the paper for 2 weeks, once a week, every week, that we're going to increase the expenses in that fund by that amount. We're not going to be doing that because we're saving in salaries expenses. So we're not changing the approved budget limit.
So my understanding, Mandy, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, is that we approved these two totals right here. The statement was then, but we gotta make sure that that includes just a 2.8 at that point. Okay, so somewhere that savings had to be put somewhere in the budget, right? Well, now it's 2.59. Somewhere that savings has to go in the budget, but these are the two final numbers, no matter what.
I had it interpreted as the final numbers being what it is with the 2.8%. So the approved numbers technically were at 3%. So these numbers approved here are with a COLA of 3%. If we decrease it to an approved COLA of 2.8%, it is reduced.
And you adopted the budget with those numbers.
With
And I
that
think
amount.
that's the
And so that,
understanding that was gonna happen. I think Danny had a different vision.
and so,
I will say that it was my motion, and my motion was to make sure that we were at 2.8% with salaries, but I thought we were approving these numbers right here. And that the savings would go elsewhere on a line item and balance both revenue and expense.
and it did, all the savings went to the vehicle purchases in assessor's office.
So, and I think
So we stay at these numbers then. We stay at these numbers and all the savings goes to current expense in the area of probably be used for those vehicles or whatever. Or used for salaries, we also had an area I thought it was actually gonna go into this line right here.
Where it would have, had we not had any additional errors that cause expenses.
And I just want to be like very transparent, because the vehicle purchase, I don't think that was something that voted on the board, not that the board has got to vote on everything. But I think to make the vehicle, because we didn't adopt the budget with the vehicle in there and we found out later. I really think we need a paper trail, whether we capture it in a resolution after adopting the budget, or I just feel like the commissioners need to vote or ratify, or whatever you want to call it, the change of that.
MRSC said that the approval of the capital asset purchase is covered through the 2024 budget. But as far as the budget amount,
For the 2025, okay, I thought we were talking about the Jeeps for the 2025.
they were approved in 2024
Okay,
and they didn't get purchased because there wasn't time.
okay.
So she wasn't asking for 4,
No,
not 2 and 24
Oh, I thought she had
and
2 and 24 and 2 and
25.
25.
no,
She was just asking for 2.
You're just rolling that,
It was in the,
okay,
and they're just rolling.
transfer. Okay, I totally misunderstood that.
But I mean, we can still have it be reapproved with it in, I mean, whatever you
Well, no, I
guys
think
wanna
just that we
do.
need to address it somehow in a resolution or somewhere that we were aware of it, that it got transferred, because typically, the commissioners adopt the budget. And I just think it would be cleaner if we adopt it and there's changes that were made afterwards, that we somehow acknowledge that, or,
You can, and then to be on the safe side, we would just post what changes we're gonna do in the paper, in 2 weeks later.
well, or even online, or a resolution or
Yeah.
something. But
We can do it.
because typically when we adopt the budget, that's it, like there's no change. If we do a change, it's a budget hearing, so this is new for me. I just wanna make sure we adopt a budget, it's like, well, we did the little gerrymandering here to, so.
So we've cleared up the 2024 one that we're gonna shift in, those 2 Wranglers. We cleared that up.
I don't know, if you wanna reapprove it, you can. Technically, that would have been how we should have.
It should have been in there,
yeah.
but we adopted the budget
But we're
without it in
covered
there.
compliance wise as a capital asset. And then it's about finding the money at that point, which as long as it doesn't exceed your approved budget, there's no requirement to do an amendment.
Okay.
So do you make a recommendation for, how do we go ahead and approve that,
Approve what? The purchase?
the Jeep?
it's technically already been board approved. So we have that and it's 2024's board approval as a
But how do we
purchase.
approve it in the 2025?
We'd have to re-amend, not re-amend, but we'd have to amend the budget. We'd have to post this change to the budget and then like, it's not something that has to be done tomorrow.
Okay.
It's, we saved all these amendments so that we were only doing one
Sort
amendment.
of budget extension.
Yeah,
You call it
that's,
amended,
it's
I
really
call
all
it
it comes down to is
Okay.
doing a budget extension.
Okay.
Yes, but you're not technically extending the money.
Okay. If it was your understanding that we were talking about, we're gonna approve these numbers, but they will be less because of the 2.8% to the 0.2% that we were lowering it. So that's the numbers you have right now, but once we found out it was 2.59, we're gonna stay with these numbers and shift that point, whatever it is, 2.8 minus 2.59 is 2.1. That 0.21, we're gonna put it somewhere else in the budget. Where are you gonna put that?
Well, we reassessed it to assessors to cover the vehicles. The capital outlay is where it went. So it went into this number right here is on the face of this budget, the capital outlay. Because now it includes those vehicles.
Okay, the savings on that 0.21 that we just did from 2.8 to 2.59. Okay. I'm okay with that,
Well, but Danny,
just as long as
this
it's
is
right.
where our error is, the commissioners, and I'm not picking on you, Mandy, I just wanna make sure we adopted a budget, then all of a sudden we're transferring money around, just with the caveat that we were gonna go 2.8%, we did some, and then somehow we got two vehicles thrown in there. I just wanna somehow note that this happened, because otherwise we adopt a budget and accounting can start changing things around, moving numbers without, the board is the one who adopts the budget, so just want to make sure that we somehow capture it somehow with a note on the back of the budget or Barb, what would,
That's where I was confused because I have what the board adopted and it doesn't match because there were the amendments done after the fact. And
So we need to
I'm just
settle
wondering
on
how I
with
need
the
to.
minutes.
I don't remember making that decision to move that funding to cover those vehicles either.
It wasn't a decision. It was a managerial decision.
So who made the decision to change that?
To find money for it, I did.
If it wasn't approved in the budget, then. But they weren't approved in the budget.
But it was an approved expense and I have managerial discretion within the funds to move money between them as long as they don't exceed the fund level. That is within my purview.
I think what she's saying, Rob, is it was approved for 2024.
That covers us for the compliance,
okay.
for the purchase.
So when we allow the means to roll funds over into the next year, we're going to now?
They're supposed to. It should have been rolled over. It just was an error. So right now, we're just taking corrective action.
Yeah, so maybe a paragraph just stating what happened, here's the adopted budget, but it goes with.
And that's kind of
So
why I
your
built this
interpretation
narrative.
is- these
The
numbers
narrative,
are the ones
okay,
we-
so this is why the narrative is here.
That's how I interpret it.
Okay,
And so that would trace to any auditor,
Okay,
to the resolution, right? Yeah, this. So, and I maintained that these changes highlighted within the narrative of what was approved by the board.
Like the 70,309,000.
Yeah, so let me show, Cindy, this is what you have, but you missing the narrative? because I tied it through to everything that was approved, so that the changes, you can
Yeah, just a minute.
track it as clean as you
I have
can
that somewhere.
without saying
Okay,
we're gonna reapprove the whole entire budget. The only part you're missing is this narrative. That's
Okay.
directly from
oh,
the.
yeah,
Thanks for your
and
patience.
I think if you have the ability to
Getting a
do
lot
that,
of
we can put the narrative
Public
in.
records done
This
right
is
now, aren't
mine.
you?
Minutes. And these amounts were what the board approved.
You happy for a little break?
Which don't.
I'll take it.
The blue amounts over here,
Okay.
right? That's the same
That's
number.
7,370. Yeah, right there, the blue.
Uh-huh.
And then these are the changes that follow through to
Okay, so instead of putting that funding
to
in.
this, right? Or maybe you don't have that.
So do you see 309.95?
I think that the more
No,
I,
that's different. That's, I have a different one.
And this is what you sent after the hearing that I sent to all
Yeah,
the electeds
yeah,
and
and
department
I
heads.
amended it to fit this.
And what the board signed and adopted is not.
as I recall, the more I think about it, I think Mandy is right about that motion. It was, these are the numbers we have, but they're gonna be reduced by 0.2% because of the COLA change. And I think that's what she's done here. I think that's
Yeah,
true.
3% down to 2 point.
So then the things I sent out to everyone, I shouldn't have sent out because I thought that was all done in these numbers
No, she was
with the
doing the next.
paperwork that she had sent to me after the hearing. But then it was amended again, is what I think I'm
So
understanding.
it wasn't the next day, because we couldn't do it the next day because you had a Tyler meeting. So whenever you had time to get the calculated numbers, I think was it Thursday? We talked.
It got sent out twice wrong. Cause I originally had 2.88
Yeah,
was
and
the other
then
problem.
we found out,
And then then did it to 2.8, and then they started to say, oh, it should be 2.59, and then they were like, halt.
Yeah.
And then I found out about the vehicles. And the difference between the very original numbers and the vehicles is $1,000, like 1,000 and some change. So by reducing something in the assessor's office, and
then it all worked out.
it all worked out. It ended up being a wash in fitting these percentage
So-
changes. So when we would give the auditor a resolution like this, and we would give them the board approved amounts, we would also give them the narrative and this
Okay,
crosswalk. And I think that that's sufficient.
okay, so because you've been in that office, so as long as we have the narrative, what happened, what we did,
Yeah.
okay.
Mhm. And statutorily, we're already in compliance. We've met all that we had to, and that's in the back of your packet. that-
Yeah, I was reading that, I just,
These are the only
this is
things
new,
that we
Mandy,
have
so we've never
to,
done that, so I am trusting you that
that
we are
we
doing
have to
it.
meet.
Okay.
So what I sent out to electeds and department heads has amendments that have been made. So I feel that I should send out an amended budget to all of them. But as of right now, they don't, to my knowledge, know about the 2.59, because that hasn't been distributed amongst,
Well, and did
employees
we,
and-
we had some discussion, Kirk, you were there with our HR discussion. Do we need to do something formal to bring it down to the 2.59? Or,
To bring it down to
well, because it was 2.8, we had,
no,
okay,
there's nothing from an HR standpoint. When the budget process and the HR process have communicated, there was often an announcement email that I would send out. And I pulled that out for Decor to take a look at to see if she wants to replicate that or change it for her preferences. And that would identify what the COLA is, that which groups are going to be governed by contract.
okay.
And then talks a little bit more about kind of re-ups the step process for the year. So that's planned to going out here soon.
Okay, so we can visit so Barb, I would probably wait and not send out the revised
Yeah.
budget until after we meet with Decorah, she sends out that letter and then we can,
or even if I even need to, that we can just attach all of this stuff together. Because in my email, it said if they have any questions to contact you. So all I know is what I sent out, and that's where my
and then
confusion.
we were attacking you. I just, this is new. I just wanna make sure that we don't, we have, you know, our audit. It's like, well, why'd you guys use this budget? Then after the fact, you changed it and didn't memorialize it. So
Yeah.
you're good with it? Got it right here.
Okay.
And this will be,
But I think also what Mandy's Mandy's advising on what's required.
Mhm.
That doesn't mean you can't hire a band and have a ticker tape parade if you want to. So I mean, you guys can reprocess any documentation through to help codify what you've done.
Yeah.
If it helps you.
And I also thought there were 4 vehicles, 2 from 2024,
Yeah.
2 in 2025. I didn't realize the 2024 approved ones slid over to 20, so I had some misinformation, or I comprehended that incorrectly.
and on my aspect, it's just, okay, Barb, what did the board approve of last year? This is what the board approved, which doesn't match the intent of the board. So as long as we have this and the board understands that if questions come, then they'll come to you why it was different.
We're probably the ones that need the narrative because we're gonna forget.
Cause I know I will forget, but my paperwork, historically, it's always had what the board adopted, and this year is not that. So it's thrown me for a loop, I will admit that. And you tried as hard as you could to explain it to me.
She probably like multiple times, you guys, multiple times.
You should have these ones.
This is
You have that one.
Yeah,
Right.
837, yeah. These are the ones that you emailed me when you worked your voodoo.
Yeah,
Yep, I have all that.
okay, yeah.
So I will just, in this meeting here with the minutes, try to go over what was discussed and put that in here for today. And then put all this in the file, because when somebody comes up and says, hey, what was adopted, this is what I have. This will now have somehow, it'll be attached to the resolution within Laserfish, so that it all comes around together this summer.
Thank you, Mandy, for getting us on a whole new realm that we've never experienced. It's like a new ride at the fair. On this one. Lots of questions.
So just so my mind is clear, you're not asking anything from the budgetary process to be documented differently.
I
Today.
think Mandy has we have an RCW.
Barb has
or
what
the-
she can attach. You've heard
I'm
from
okay
Mandy.
with that, and Mandy's the
I'm
one
gonna
that will
follow
deal
up with Decorah so that she can do the announcement piece. So.
Well, that's just
we'll
me.
circle.
Rob, Danny, are you okay with that, with the explanation?
Yeah, I'm good with it because I think that this thing captures the fact that we had approved these numbers minus the 0.2%. And that got recorded down here, right? And then from then on, we did some shifting because there was another 0.21% that got reduced and put into a capital expenditure.
Rob,
Shifted
are
from last year.
you okay with this?
Sort of. I guess I need clarification that is capital now rolled from year to year if not used in the prior year?
Typically, no.
Yeah, it's been our last 3 years has been no, or 4 years. So now I'm
Well,
trying to catch up to how we're doing it now.
Yeah, for budget compliance, it has to go through again. For board approval compliance, it only has to go through it once. So that's the differentiation.
I think that's because there was an error, not a
And
missing
so,
part
yeah,
on-
and it was an error and it should have gone through to be in compliance with budgetary concerns. But because we happen to have salary savings, we don't have to make amendments to the final budget.
So it was a win-win. It was like, we're gonna add.
If we're gonna have an error, it was a good way to have an error.
Okay, well, thank you for resolving that one.
Thanks, Mandy.
Randy's like, I don't get paid enough to like answer all these questions for us, like. Bring my RCW book down, but anyway, thank you for explaining that.
I think that covered everything I have, and
We have some other things for you. And one of them has to do with, have you had a chance to look at that small and attractive items policy?
yes, we're almost done with it. Almost ready to bring it to board.
Okay,
So we wanna steal
wonderful.
some things, so you better hurry.
And then the next thing obviously is why Emily's here. We want to discuss the museum budget.
Okay.
Outstanding.
That was quite interesting from my side. All the heads moved toward Emily.
So, yeah, I need to,
Yeah.
it's on the computer. So there is a savings if we opt to take out the savings for the insurance.
Oh,
I don't
yeah.
know if I CC'd you on that.
Yeah.
Let me,
Okay, so we're talking about 2025 budget.
well,
I thought there
yeah,
was
we need to do
bills left over
2024
from
and 2025. I thought they
Lots
were,
to talk about apparently.
okay, so 2024, John thought they had enough revenue and enough income to pay for the 2024 budget.
Okay, so at the last meeting, I wasn't here,
Okay.
but the last meeting was supposed to be talking about his outstanding budget overages for this year.
He did talk about that.
And at the meeting, John was asked, okay, well, do you have enough in your account to cover the rest of your December expenses? And he mentioned that payroll will probably be such and such amount, so yeah, we should be able to cover it. Danny mentioned, if you're short, you could pull a CD, pay it out that way. He's not understanding that your intention is not to reimburse him. He still thinks that it's being reimbursed after he pays it out. We also have outstanding bills from October and November that have not been paid out because he's already over budget. So the last meeting was going to be the board talking to him about if we were able to find somewhere else to pay those out of, if they were just going to have to pay them, what was going to happen with them. And he still thinks that he is being reimbursed for all of
Okay,
those.
so I didn't realize that. He said he had $12,000 left. He should be fine. Squeak through the end of,
I
okay.
think essentially he thought what you were asking is, well, do you have enough money in your account to pay them? And he goes, oh yeah, but he still thinks he's being
Okay.
reimbursed for them,
Okay.
as well as
So I think
October
we-
and November, which have also not been paid out.
Okay,
He
so they
has-
paid the bill, so you have just not
He
been
has,
reimbursed.
he has submitted them to us for reimbursal, but because they were already over budget, it got brought up with the board.
I don't think
So
John understands. Yeah, the budget's a budget. If you guys overspend.
he's not understanding.
Okay.
a meeting now. It's okay.
We didn't.
That's so confusing, because that, at the last meeting, I really thought he understood and was like, yeah, we're gonna get through.
He came to the front counter and was like, hey, our bills for October and November that we submitted still haven't been paid out. I'm like, oh, I thought you were talking about those at the last meeting. And he's like, well, we didn't talk about those bills at the last meeting.
He just said they're all paid. The only thing he had to worry about was
Right.
payroll. So
Because he paid them.
like personally or?
No, the museum paid
Well,
them, but
I
he
think
is still expecting the
that's-
reimbursement.
Okay, because he had a budget from the county and that's what happens when you exceed the budget. He said he had enough to get through. So I guess we don't even have time to advertise for a budget extension if we've agreed to. We have been working with John, and I know you have too. And I feel like he needs to use his
I
money.
think
He's
that
gonna over.
he needs to be told very directly, you're over budget, so we cannot reimburse you for October, November, or December. I think that it just with John needs to be that clear that because you're over budget, there's nothing else, there's no more money for us to reimburse to you. I think that is the part that he's missing.
Is he gonna get his 11,000 that we just submitted for?
No idea.
Oh, okay.
That'll still go through LTAC. The advertising part should for sure go through. It's just whether or not they determine that the payroll can be covered by the LTAC funds.
And I did talk to Rob about this. He's the chair of LTAC right now, and he said that that was fine to use the funds for whatever because you can justify that. You're using your employees to promote tourism at the museum. And I did send the transfer request to you this morning, Mandy.
Thank you.
Okay, so,
So he'll get that.
Which is money that has already been paid out, so it'll
Yeah.
get reimbursed
okay,
to us from us.
so that's probably, okay.
So that's helpful at least.
No, I think.
It's something, yes.
Do you want me to let him know that we cannot reimburse for the October, November, December expenses because?
I think that he does need to hear that from the board because he is still very confused.
Okay.
And it would be October and November payroll and his taxes, and then whatever he gets for December, because I think he also thinks he's still getting reimbursed for that as well.
Okay,
Well, I think the whole CDs come into that conversation. That's what we were talking about, is when where you're short,
Yeah,
you have some funds you can
well, I think,
draw from.
yeah, I think he's still struggling. A budget's a budget.
Yeah.
Even if you spend more.
Yes.
We've been working with them to cut his staff.
yeah.
Is
It
that
sounds
what-
like the good thing is that next year he does understand that his budget was cut. He is making staffing
Well-
changes based on what we've heard so far.
But now we have a problem in 2025, so he's got an additional, I don't know. I'll have to look at my numbers, jump up $30,000 to $50,000
I wanna
because
say
of
it was like
insurance.
30 or something.
Okay, but are we gonna leave, since we reduced the insurance, the expense, are we gonna reduce the revenue on that? Because we have to pay it somewhere else. Current expense, I'm sure we'll be picking up the tab on that. Because the
Well, what-
fairgrounds would actually be reduced too. We removed a plethora of buildings and equipment over there, so we had a big cut of his insurance premium. So it's not fair to bill them. But it's also not fair to give him revenue if we're cutting the insurance portion of it. When we increase it, we usually increase our budget. When we decrease it, we don't decrease things very often.
I thought that there just wasn't as much as we thought would have to be paid for insurance, and so therefore our total would be reduced by that much.
Are you talking about the expense and the revenue or what?
No, the insurance cost. So we thought it was gonna cost us $50-some thousand to pay for insurance for the museum, and it ended up being 15 something. Why wouldn't our total insurance be reduced that much?
Because it was picked up elsewhere. We just did a lot.
Why would it be picked up elsewhere?
With new buildings that weren't previously on the
No, but
record.
we had a 20% increase, so I think it just shifted around. Some of it shifted around. We took some of these buildings off. We probably added, I can't, Danny, I don't know. You can go itemize it, but you know, when your insurance, you can reduce, it still was an increase, a very large increase this year. It was just transferred over. As a whole, we didn't get I don't think we got a $30,000 reduction because we took it was a savings, but it also had a big increase everywhere else.
But if we take that out of what we were gonna budget for the museum, then he's literally helping pay for somebody else's insurance
Right.
somewhere else in the county. I'm not getting the mental accounting picture on this one.
So yeah, I don't think he should be paying, if his portion of it was 15,000, he should only have to pay 15,000. But we shouldn't be giving him revenue for, what was it, 40,000? For that,
So instead of reallocating it within his budget, it would be
Yeah,
somewhere else.
bring it, should transfer it back out. If we're taking a part of the expense out, take part of the revenue out. That's all I'm saying.
So would you then need to adjust all of their budgets based on the insurance changes?
Well, we don't, the only reason theirs was reduced, well, yeah, I guess last
'Cause
year we
if-
just paid it out of miscellaneous.
If there's
non-government.
an overall change of 20% or something, but we don't know where it's.
No,
We calculated the increase already with each individual fund, if one department changes a
So the
little
fairgrounds
lower, it's not.
removed, so the fairgrounds probably will have a reduction too because they removed a lot of buildings. But I don't know if they had other liability that was added. And there was two, the fairgrounds and the museum. And it was only when our update, we were told, so I thought, oh, let me just see what, when they break it down. Because we don't normally go like, okay, commissioners, this is your portion, sheriff, this is your portion. I just know on the museum when I asked, there was a significant reduction.
So you would think that we would need to just take that money out of his budget completely instead of reallocate it to a different part of his budget?
That's my question.
Yeah.
I'm asking the board.
That
I would
That would be
assume
mine as well.
Why, yeah, if we're reducing a large expense for you, why would you, hey, we're gonna reduce this, but go ahead and keep the revenue that we give, so you can pay for it?
So we reduced his overall expenses in for 2025. Did we reduce that with the fact that he had increased insurance costs, 19%? Because if we did, then that would seem fair that we would put that 19% back.
Yes, that was with the increase.
But if we didn't reduce his expenses because any relation to the insurance.
I think we're reducing his expenses because they have been climbing,
Then-
steadily climbing, like significant. When you look at the last 2 or 3 years, the big increase,
Mhm.
and a lot of it's just staff, he has a larger staff.
Then you wouldn't adjust his professional services based on the decrease in insurance. Only if you made direct changes based on the increase. If that wasn't the case, then why would you increase his professional services with a decrease in insurance?
So then we would just reduce his budget by the difference in insurance.
Okay, that's what okay, now I'm following along. We reduce the expense by 20,000, we should reduce the revenue that we were gonna reduce.
Because
By
it is a
20.
current expense, we don't have to.
It just goes back into current
We can
expense.
just put it anywhere we want in current expense.
But that's just me, I don't know what the other 2 board members, because that would be definitely for the museum, a nice cushion, because they can use it for salary, they can use it whatever, but I think if we were gonna reduce anybody else's budget by their insurance, and we're like, here, we would take out the revenue that we would backfill for that expense.
And then what's the process for us to change it, I guess?
Budget? Nothing.
Well, if that's the, dang, I got no internet down here. You got internet over there? Oh, finally connected. Yeah, well, if that's the case, I'm disappointed in myself that I spoke out of turn, because I was thinking, oh gosh, that's a nice cushion for you, John. And I was talking to him on the phone about another subject, the property line adjustment possibility. And then I said, oh, and by the way, we found out that you don't have that much insurance, and that's gonna be nice, that you have a little extra funds, and so I'm gonna have to, if that's
Okay,
really the
so-
way it works, I'm gonna have to call him.
Well, it works how you say it
Apologize
works.
for, huh?
Well, no, I
It
think,
works how
this
you
is
guys
how
say
I
it
think we
works.
need to address this as a commission. So the new amount is $15,170.44. What was the budgeted amount, Mandy?
54,835.
Whoa, 40. I thought I had the budget sitting right here and it was 46,080.
That was the previous year, and it went up 19% to 54.
So we gave him the 19% to, well, we
That's
don't
what
know.
it was for.
Okay, so give me that number again, those 2 numbers again.
Okay, so
54,000 what?
835, and then with the actual cost is
New one is 15 what?
170 and 44 cents. So 15,170.
So that's a $40,000 difference.
You could always split it.
So 39,664.
So you're saying instead of a cushion of 40, give him a cushion of 20. Reduce him to a 155 budget instead of the 175.
Rob, are you following what's going on? I'm not sure if you're.
Yeah, sort of. I thought he was going to use his things.
We're still gonna have to.
Well,
And
no,
he's
we
still
got,
short
we have a problem.
with CDs?
No,
I don't
we're
know if you caught this,
talking about
like,
next
he
year.
came in and visited with us, and because he has $12,000 left to finish up the year, he thinks he's gonna make it. He's still waiting for us to reimburse him for
Yeah,
October,
60,000,
November, and
30,000 or 60?
I think it was like about 40 for October
Yeah.
and November, and then
So-
go up to December.
December. He's kind of like, oh, he doesn't have any more money in his budget to do that.
So for 2025, his insurance was reduced And that's what we're talking about now is
Yeah, not that.
what to do.
The
with
39,000, do we just leave it in his budget or say, great downfall or windfall?
I don't know.
If we left it in his budget,
We have cameras at the museum, county cameras.
No, we talked about getting them. Because they walk around with them and that would save staff time.
if we left some of it in his budget, or all of it, at 175, he could pay off, we wouldn't have to reimburse him for the rest of where he's over budget in 2024.
But do we reward him
He can take that
for-
out of his CCDs. So I'm not in favor of paying for his shortfall in 2024 because it was his mistakes.
Yeah,
And they
their
have the money to
mistakes.
cover it. But
Are the people that work at the museum the historical board? Or are they just
Yes.
employees?
Both. Oh,
I don't like any of it.
museum budget. Where am I gonna find the museum budget so I can pull it up?
OneDrive.
you don't like history, is that what you're saying?
No, I like the museum, it's cool. I just don't know how 4 people travel in one car.
This job right here, right?
Oh, because you only see one car there ever?
It's in the VOCC, so search for, there's a search bar? Oh, down here.
So the outstanding question, Rob, is we allocated 175. We're gonna reduce it 40,000 because
Oh,
of the
it won't
savings
be
and
easy.
insurance?
It's inside a
Or are we
search
gonna let them
bar.
keep some of it or all of it?
What was their labor in 24? 165?
I have no idea.
Yeah.
I don't have their budget.
I don't have it open.
Okay, so it's under,
It's easier just to look at you.
I know, sorry.
Sorry.
I wasn't planning on being here today, it just
I have
happened.
it in here somewhere.
So if you click through.
It's right here.
158 actual on professional services.
they're just gonna go like
Right click.
historical.
And what is it for 25?
You'd be way past it.
Yeah, 40,000 payroll for October, November, 39,081. Budget.
Click it. It brings up the whole menu. There you are.
24, yeah, actual 160,
It's not-
but they were over, right?
Yeah, they paid, I wanna say a couple months in this year for last year.
So they're probably like 200.
It would have come in real close if they hadn't given the pay raises in
Well,
2023 that were meant for 2024.
85 maybe.
I think, and we've worked with him, I like starting in July, we started working with him. And I know Jerry even had discussion with him on January, like, hey, you're gonna be short, okay, I'll watch out. So I feel like we've done our due diligence and
We even suggested what to do to
doesn't
make it, so.
matter. I even said maybe cut down the hours, so he finally cut down the hours, 1 hour. I don't know if it was a week or a day, I don't know. We would recommend somebody who's can allocate the who's working when, and maybe John is struggling to,
So I'm gonna throw something out there so we can move forward.
Okay.
Have him pay his shortfall out of his CDs for 2024. And give him half of the savings on insurance.
fine with that.
Just even 20,000 or?
Yeah,
Okay.
Rob, are you okay with that?
Yeah,
So that'd be a 155 budget instead of the 170.
But I'm pretty sure they're not gonna cash in their CDs and they'll just be in the same situation next year.
next year. I mean, you could fix this issue in there so fast that it's hard to keep going. Like, you don't need to be open as many days and you don't need as much staff.
Just cut your time. Cut your time, you save that money in 4 months.
And Cindy, you'll be talking to him about the shortfall this year?
Where it's October, November, and December.
And the cushion we saved for it?
Yep. Would you like me to ask for a proposed budget for 2020? Or, because I'm concerned that in January, he's gonna submit all of his October, November, December. I'm terrified that that's what's gonna happen.
He has already submitted his October and November bills. We've just been holding them and waiting for a board to make a decision. So I think when you let him know October, November, December will not be reimbursed, that hopefully that will make sense.
I got it, but
I know for 2025, he didn't submit a proposed budget already, but that was before his amounts were lowered.
okay.
So if you want him to submit another
One
one,
monthly, I think we should, and maybe,
like a plan.
this is what we would do for another department that
Right.
chronically goes over budget,
Yeah.
and okay. Is that okay to ask for monthly budget? So we can keep them on track?
Get
And
it
Rob,
Just like, I don't think she's asking me, I don't know.
The spreadsheet book like we did last time.
okay, well, I think we, sometimes when you plan, it's easier than when you figure out in October, November, December that you have for July.
Yes. Yep.
And again, thank you for working with John to help him get through this. Thank you, it's greatly, greatly appreciated.
Yeah.
You too.
Thank you, man.
Okay,
And exchange program?
yes, did we put money in miscellaneous? It was in the 133 account, but we can pay wages, salaries out of 133, but we cannot, otherwise it has to be used for capital. So I think we moved it for Rena, which is Caitlin or Barb, do you remember, it's not, what was the invoice we just signed? I don't think it's Rena, she calls it something else. Her business, Ma Media.
Yeah.
MA Media. I thought we put $10,000 in, we left $10,000 in for our exchange. So would it be under professional services?
I thought we didn't put money in for that this year.
Oh, I thought we did. Danny, I thought we did.
Under what fund?
It'll be miscellaneous general government. I couldn't find it, because it's broken down into little, so we have like professional services, and I couldn't find it.
No, I think Rob might be right because
I don't
we.
think we put her in because we plan to utilize the port.
Somebody said the port or
I
something.
think Cindy said that.
They're gonna do, yes, okay, so we're still doing virtual exchanges, so how do you want me to handle that? Just stop, because we have a group coming over in May, they wanna send, Kamaki City wants to send 8 kids. The Royal School District is actually doing a lot of work, they're helping facilitate the exchanges, there's a teacher that's been helping, but as far as I don't speak Japanese, so.
But is that the same group that came last time when they had that American that actually lives over there and came with them?
That's Toyoyama.
That's what I am.
Kamaki City, they did send somebody over. They send 2 adults, and then sometimes that's what was difficult, they sent some of their adult delegation with the youth. So I think they are hoping to do 8, we'll definitely minimize it, but where, or do we just tell them, go through the port? I don't know if the port. I didn't see where there's funding, and I didn't know they were working on exchange until I got an email. Because in my mind, I thought we were winding these down.
Yeah. I think, and I think we are. I mean, I think our decision was not to continue with it this year and because we thought the port was gonna step in and do some things.
Okay.
The port is not gonna care about the youth portion of it though. Just put that out there. Is it?
No, they were.
Youth has nothing to do with business, so.
I don't really know what to say on this one, because I feel like I'm pressing somebody else's budget a little bit. It's hard for me, but I thought we did not put it in this
Okay.
year.
No, I don't think it was
I
put
just
in.
couldn't find it.
I don't remember. I thought the decision was made to not include it.
Yeah, that's fine. So I need to let Rita know, who will relay it back to Pamaki City, that we will not be,
Yeah, whatever gets paid for Rena now comes out of 2024. Because we still have a little bit of money there from that, right?
I don't know.
I think so.
We were tight because she was a little delayed last year and one of her payments came out of, her 2023 payment came out of 2024. So I know we've been.
And it comes out of miscellaneous government every time?
We just switched it over to come out of that fund. Because it was 133.
Economic enhancement?
Yeah. We can pay wages, salaries out of that. I think that's what we bring in. So I'll get Rosetta Stone and start working on my Japanese.
I think it would be in the BOCC budget.
No, we didn't have it in that one. I think we took it out, because it was, last year it was adopted in the 133, but because, I don't know why we couldn't pay it out of there. I don't know if the state auditor said we could, so we moved it to miscellaneous general.
Well, Mandy's different. And she's already doing a lot of things different. So you might just ask her about that. Is 113, we were told we can't use any funds for anything not tied to a project.
Unless it's wages, it can be wages.
Yeah.
That's how we reimburse the EDC.
I thought we looked into that for a different purpose, and as long as it promoted economic and that's a very broad.
Okay, so it was in the 133 account. But I think, let me go back, let me go jump up and.
How does an exchange not like help build international relations and bring people to the community? I don't know.
It does.
I would argue that it does.
You could argue it. The only issue is that we don't do recruitment necessarily as the county. That we fund the EDC to do that mechanism.
Okay, so, yeah, we had, I think, salaries and wages in 2024, we had 12,000. We did not put anything in for, we didn't even take anything out for 2024. That's fine, miscellaneous general government.
Did you just have it in professional services?
Maybe, I don't know, I think Jerry, Caitlin, what are you paying that invoice out of for Mom Media?
One moment.
Thank you.
So the last time that Mom Media got paid out was before I took over on payroll or payables, whatever. Emily is online. She's looking right now.
Okay, sorry, Emily.
I don't know. Gross.
Commissioners, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, so for 2024, with the exchange program, when the invoices were submitted, the board advised that they should be paid out of the 134, which was the one that Katie had previously said they could not be paid out of, which is where they were paid out of because there was no change to the 2024 budget to add it to the 125 account. So there was nowhere else for it to be paid out of because that is where it was budgeted for 2024.
Okay. So where, because I'm looking at the actuals and there's nothing in there. So the 12,000 should have been,
So for Ma Media, I only see, trying to find the other one. I see a almost $5,000 bill from them from August.
yep. Been exchange.
Yep, for the translation services for Ma
Okay,
Media.
so that came out of professional services in 133?
Yes.
Okay.
We did not budget that for 2025. We changed things around.
Okay. Okay, thank you for looking into that.
Yep.
So I will let Raina know that we have no budget for 2025. Okay, anything else for Amanda? Sorry, Amanda, it just was a random update. You have the sheriff here. Anything else for Amanda?
Nope, nothing for me.
Okay, Amanda, thank you. It is 1:31. We are having our update with the Grant County Sheriff. Welcome, Sheriff.
Hello.
Good,
Good, how are you?
Good
to see you back.
Morning.
Great, how are y'all?
Is
Huh?
that your sore shoulder?
Yeah, watch this. Waking up that high now. Good to see you. Yeah, wee. Feeling better.
Good to be seen.
Good, I've seen you in forever.
I know, I'm back here in the corner.
Yeah, well, you know, nobody puts baby in the corner.
And this meeting is recorded. It's on YouTube, just FYI.
Oh, boy. Oh, boy.
Thank you, Mandy.
All right. So I have actually quite a bit of stuff today. I'm going back to from when we last met, moving forward, and it's kind of quasi chronological. I tried to grab some things out to go through them as we went through the month. So in November, I met with the city of Grand Coulee, referenced their status with their police department. They're down to 3 officers, so they were really needing some help for coverage up there. They recently, as of last week, had some interviews for a position of chief, for new chief, which is great. They had, I think it ended up to be 4 candidates, 1 withdrew kind of at the last minute. So they did interview the 4. I don't know how they turned out yet. It was late last week when they did their interview. We sent one of my administrators up there to go sit on the oral board committee up there to be part of the hiring process. So Josh and I have done this all day, so I haven't been able to touch bases with them to see how it went. But they were looking to hire a new
Josh
chief.
Ainsbury went up there for you.
He went up there and sat on the board for me. But they're hoping to get the new chief hired by the first of the year, they said, which is great. That'll get them to four officers and at least get them back to where they can actually cover their city. So there was a small gap that we were covering for a few hours a night. So we've just trying to be good partners and help them out. So we had some promotional interviews for a patrol corporal position, which we promoted Jose Rivera and Jordan Myers in the position of corporal. Just did their swearing in today and very, very well attended by their family and our staff. So very, very, very well attended. So yeah. Last week we did our Tip a Cop event over at Rock Top over in Moses Lake. The community came in and raised about $6,000 between us and Moses Lake PD for our Shop with a Cop event we have this week. So that was great. It's always a lot of fun doing that and chatting with the community as they come in and watch us stumble on ourselves and try to wait tables. It's pretty fun. So, but it was a really good night. And right at 2 hours, about $6,000. So that was great. So, our administrative team finished some executive leadership training that we had with Dennis Fountain Leadership. We had 10 sessions of transforming your culture. It was broke into 10 separate sessions throughout the year. It was really, really great training, very interactive training. We plan to move forward into a new piece of that for 2025 as well moving forward. So it's really pretty inexpensive executive leadership training. It's really hard to find affordable executive level training out there. It's just really difficult. So I know the prosecutor's office did the same thing with Dennis Fountain. So it actually worked out really well. We really enjoyed the training. It was good. Let's see here. Mac is moving into a new CAD system software, which is their 365 Labs. It's gonna replace the Spillman Technologies software that we've had since '97. We've had a ton of training on this, from the mobile side to the jail management side to the records management side, the dispatching side. There's a lot of pieces and parts to this new software. We had an original go live date set for the 17th at 3 a.m., but that has been pushed out now to January 7th because there are a lot of things that we're just not ready for. So
will Mac be purchasing that?
yes,
Maybe we'll have it? Okay.
yep, they will.
Because somehow there was Spillman, apparently the county owned it, but Mac paid for it, and there was always a little.
Yeah, we had a user fee with Mac, which kind of ties some of that in there. But Mac is kind of the spearhead with it. They really are. The biggest problem is it sounds like is that the customer service that we were getting with Spillman just wasn't very good.
Is Amy still at? I think Amy Dice.
I don't think so.
Okay.
I don't think she's there anymore with them. They had a period of time where Spillman Technologies sold to Motorola. Motorola is a monstrosity company, of course, they're huge, but once Motorola purchased Spillman, the customer service side just kind of fell off. It just, yeah, I mean, Motorola is they're big, they're really big, and they kind of forget about the little people like Grant County that uses their product. And so we had updates that weren't getting done, servers that weren't being serviced, and on and on and on, and things that are definitely way beyond me as far as technology goes. But they did a lot of testing for, I think even Chief Coates was part of this when they first started testing the 365 Labs. And it's been well over a year of testing and building the program and try to get it customized for us. Right now, there's a few modules missing. Our civil module, which is a very large piece for us, the civil portion of it that deals with protection orders, anti-harassment orders, court subpoenas, different court orders that come out for what we have to use, which that's a really big piece for the sheriff's office that they haven't implemented that yet. So we may stay in Spillman possibly for the civil side of it until they get it implemented. But we're working with Mac to try to get those wrinkles worked out so we can have a smoothest transition as we possibly can. So again, that's tentatively set for January 7th. Chief Sainsbury and I last week attended the Civil Air Patrol Awards banquet last week. That was great. Oh my gosh, I found a handful of kids I want to hire right now. I mean, those kids they're very disciplined, very structured, very, very well respected with each other.
And haven't mostly got in trouble yet?
Haven't mostly got in trouble yet, I don't think.
Started the age of,
There
some other
are
things.
some at the high school age, there are some in there, but just great kids.
Good recruiting
Oh
spot.
my gosh, it was great. It was really, really good to see. And there was probably 150 people there. So it was great seeing these kids interacting with everybody, even as simple as.
Where was it at?
At the ERC here in Ephrata. Just as simple as, good evening, sir, how's your evening going? Just interaction that you don't see with kids nowadays. They it was great. It was really, really good to see it. They do a fantastic job with those kids as far as keeping them involved and really acknowledging the great achievements that they have. And they provide really good training for those kids to go through. And they promoted, I would say, probably 20 to 25 kids within the organization. And they're now up to, I think, 70 kids. Yeah, it's great. They just do a fantastic job. I was very, very impressed with the kids that night that were there and the support that they have within the community and from the parents. So they honored several of the kids that are in the program, but they also honored their senior volunteers. That they spend a lot of their time, and some of them are former military, some are not. But they donate a lot of their time, which some of them are county employees as well. So it was really great to see our county employees getting involved and helping lead those kind of future leaders, in my opinion, of our area here. So it was really, really good to see. It was. Just some staffing stuff, and I'm gonna touch on to some of the things I printed off here, and I'm gonna let Chief Coates talk about it as well. Staffing, just to get you up to speed of where we are staffing wise. Patrol right now, we have 8 openings and we don't have any conditional offers out. We did get civil service lists last week of eligibility rosters, my registers to choose from last week. So when I give these openings, we haven't set interviews with the new registers yet, but they're coming in the next couple weeks. So anyway, 8 openings on patrol currently, 10 openings with corrections. 1 conditional offer is out there we're working through with the background. For the support staff, we have no openings, but we do have 2 conditional offers that are out there in the background process. One of them is almost done, so we should have that person hired probably by the end of the week, I'm guessing.
So you're gonna have opening.
Yeah, so we have, what I do is if we have an opening, a vacancy on our roster, whether it's support, whether it's patrol or corrections, I take that vacancy away once I have a conditional offer.
Oh, okay,
to
so,
somebody.
okay, it's not like a new position, it's,
Correct, it's a vacancy.
okay.
Yeah, vacancies, yeah, sorry, not new positions, vacancies, I'm
And
sorry.
you have 2, you're 2 of,
Yes, so we have no vacancies on support because we have 2 in the background process for the 2 open vacancies that we have. So, yeah, not new positions, our current budgeted, just the vacancies trying to fill is all, yeah.
you know, the foot in the door.
Got their foot in the door. Yeah, one of them's just about done with the background, which is great. So she should be, like I said, I should be able to give her a full-time offer of employment, probably middle to late this week. I think she has the psych to do, and then that's
Is she
it.
from the Civil Patrol, Air Patrol?
No, but I'm telling you, there were probably 3 or 4 kids that are I'm gonna guess their age is probably somewhere between 16, 17 years old there. I went, oh my gosh, I would hire that person right now. I mean, it was impressive. It really, really was impressive. Those kids they were great. I hope I get to go next year, just to see the progress of the other ones that were involved. It was.
You should go next year, and the
Yeah.
year after, and the year after.
Yeah,
You should be recruiting them.
it's been
You should create a junior sheriff's.
well, we used to have an Explore program. We did. But you have some hoops that you have liability wise when you have exposure to the things we're exposed to. So we used to use them as part of our second person in a boat, out with the ORV guys repairing fences and things like that. Basically just get them involved within the office to see how things are. We did have Sarah, she was one of our interns for the evidence with Jamie Granger, which worked out great. Actually, it helped Jamie substantially. Yeah, substantially. So we've had a few of those here and there, and it's worked out good for us, that's for sure. So, but yeah, hopefully they keep inviting me to go to their graduation, their awards ceremony, because it was really good. Just some information was just handed to me this morning about some of the corrections turnover and hiring rate, because that seems to be the more challenging of the 3 divisions right now, is getting it filled, is the corrections side. It seems to be the most challenging. Just for information, as far as the reasons why we've had some people go and leave, we've had 34% of our corrections deputies that have gone to patrol. We've had 23% of them have been terminated, 7% have retired, 9% have left to other agencies. And then we have
That include your own?
no, that would cover the patrol side. Yeah, that would be that would be the internal movement.
Sorry.
Oh, you're fine. And then you have 16% for personal reasons, which would be, we've had some that have relocated to different states because of families had to move. That's actually happened quite a bit, honestly. We've had some that have moved back east to North Carolina, had some to Texas, Arizona. Those are the other ones. And then we have 9% unknown. Chief's gonna touch bases with the sergeant or the corrections deputy that put this together off the report, see if we can find out what that 9% is. So turnover rate, tying all that stuff into a turnover rate for our supervisors is roughly about 17%. Corrections officers about 22%, and then combined together is 21% as far as turnover goes. And I think a lot of that, like I said, it has to do with the patrol and then with people we've moved on from termed or retirements, it feels like, so. Now this stat is a little bit skewed because it takes into account vacancies that we've had for a long period of time, because we've had some that have been open for 3 years. If the board remembers, I think in 2023 was the approval of 4 new positions for corrections, I think it was 2023. But this statistic reflects that because we haven't been able to fill that spot, so, and it comes down to the average days to fill vacancies. We're down to 221 days, the average days to fill a vacancy. But again, that it really skews it, so it's really hard to pinpoint that stat, quite frankly. But I got the information, so I thought I'd present it to you. But having those openings, that type of thing really skews it, so there's really not, it's not very accurate in my opinion, because it does take those into account. Departures and new hires, 2022, we had 3 new hires. In 2022, we had 4 departures. In 2021, we had 7 departures, 7 new hires, and then moved forward to 2023, we've had 9 and 9. So we've had a few years that have been a wash. We've had a few years that we've had more departures than new hires. So right now, we're looked to be on an upward trend of new hires, and our departures seem to be slowing down now as far as getting into 24, as I look at the edge of the graph here. So just some interesting things that we're about to do this morning. I'm sorry?
Do you have numbers for 2024?
We don't yet, just because the year's not completely over to collect the actual data, so. But it looks like it is on an upward trend for new hires and a declining trend for people leaving in 2024, which is accurate considering the staff. We have really young staff, which that would explain that trend, why it's leaning the way it's leaning. So we're really very young on the correction side. Actually, we're really young on the patrol side as well, so, yeah. So, Chief, I'll let you cover anything you may want to cover as far as the staffing analysis or anything like that, so.
The good thing is this isn't just a Grant County issue.
Correct.
As in Texas a few weeks ago, we had 20 different counties, 20 different jails throughout the entire nation in that class. And there was 2 hands that were raised from the same agency that they were fully staffed. So this is a nationwide issue. So this is not just specific to Grant County, which is a good thing, but still sucks.
Yeah, and one other thing, just to add to that, I also talked to one of the background investigators today for public safety. And it's a trend that they're seeing through their entire company too, as far as the backgrounds, because they do a lot of background investigations for various agencies in the Northwest. It's the same trend that they're seeing as well. As soon as the police reform came in 2021, it was an absolute decline in applications. So they're seeing the same thing, public safety is, so.
Well, based on the letter that sheriffs sent to the legislators or whatever it was, I just read it and I'm going, well, this group is out there trying to even make it worse.
It really
this
is.
legislative session.
Yeah, it really is. It's for them to take the ability of the community to have a voice of what their executive law enforcement leadership should look like is a problem, in my opinion. It really is. It's already been proven that the community, if they have a problem, they take care of it, like they did in Benton County. They did that 2 years ago with the sheriff that was recalled down there. So they've proven that it works and they do it. You know, if they need a change in leadership, they vote somebody else in. It is what it is. So it's kind of a sad, we're in a sad state right now, in my opinion, as far as that goes, but sorry.
Yeah, no worries. Again, not a Grant County issue. Last week we were able to give our final presentation to the National Institute of Corrections on our staffing analysis. Well, I didn't know what type of monster we were getting ourselves into whenever we signed up for that, because it goes so in depth. And some of our challenges were trying to create data that has never been measured before, as far as like how long it takes you to fill a vacancy. So that data has never been measured, never been collected whatsoever. You know, right now it says we're averaging 221 days. That's a hire. Then you still got to wait another year till they're really fully trained. So you're looking at almost 2 years after an individual's hired till they're actually boots on the ground that actually can do the job. Again, it's things that would never really been measured. So as reaching out to human resources, Gina was part of our staffing analysis team. She did an amazing job providing some of the data. So we're still hurting, but we're still trying to look at different ways to better recruit people, whether or not it's going to the Civil Air Patrol to try to recruit or what. But you know, the team's still committed, looking at every avenue that we can. We did put together a complete packet. If you guys like for me to send it to you, I'd be more than happy to. It's like 110 pages. It really tells you the history of the Grant County Jail and where we're at today. Another obstacle that we're facing is staffing analyses are typically done in facilities that you're currently operating in. Well, we didn't really want to do a staffing analysis for our current facility, knowing that in a year and a half, we're going to be in a new facility. So we had to create what we thought was the ideal posts or position areas, whether it be the control rooms, officers on the floor, booking area, the medical, how many people do we actually need? And I think what Lieutenant Jay said it the best at our supervisors meeting a couple weeks ago is like, if you want to purchase a car and you can study a car night and day, know everything about it, you don't really truly know anything about that car until you get it and turn the key and you go. And that's kind of in the position that we're in now. We can get what the theory looks like of operating that place, but we really don't know until we get boots on the ground. So knowing that, we try to take the ideal post positions, and I'm going to give you a number, so don't act shocked here, but at the algorithm that the National Institute of Correction kicks out at the end of the day, operating that facility, they say we need an additional 55 correction staff. Now, when I say that, that sounds like a huge number. And I also want to remind you too, that some of these numbers are just skewed, especially with the average days to fill the vacancies. The average days to fill the vacancies completely skews that number altogether. So you're going to get a high number. Just because it takes, we've had those 7 positions that have never been filled before. If we take out those 7 positions, we're looking at to where does that number drop us now? So this is something that we had to do our final presentation that was off of their data, or we wouldn't have passed. So we had to kind of get their data out of the way, but now we're taking back and we're meeting once a week to remove the average days and kind of see where that equilibrium is, where that balance is of actual number of staff that we need to operate that facility efficiently and safely. I see a question, Bruce.
Okay, no, Danny, you might have a question, because I thought with the new facility, we're probably some additional staff, but because the way it's set up, it's not gonna be a lot more. So I'm really shocked at 55.
Yeah.
Well, and we were too.
No.
We were definitely shocked. I don't think everybody was shocked.
Yeah, that
Because
was-
we knew it was gonna be skewed, just like the 221 days things. We know it's skewed because of that data we have. And I think that's why they're gonna go back through and look at the things to try to massage down what those average days are of the hires to try to get a more realistic number. It's not gonna be anywhere near 55 people. It's not. We looked at that and went, No.
Yeah,
We agree with you.
we're still penciling in things, taking this data, I mean, we got the drawings laid out, the work release and kind of where identified posts are. Well, we're going in and revamping those and go, all right, you know what, maybe we don't need 3 over here. I mean, and we have heavy on day shift and we're cutting multiple bodies on graveyard because just the tasks that are needed to be performed on graveyard aren't as much as on day shift. So there's a lot of massaging going on right now. But I'd be more than happy to send that report to you. Again, if you see the numbers, you're gonna be shocked. We were too, and we know moving to that place, we're not gonna get 55 additional bodies. We know that. So just wanted to kind of get that out there. Anybody have any questions about the staffing analysis? Okay.
Well, these guys are nodding their heads up there, but you know, I'm always the one that has to, you know, throw in my 2 cents.
Would you like
I will
my 2
reiterate.
cents first, Danny?
I will read.
I'll give my 2 cents first. Number 1, can't afford 50 employees. Number 2, you can't afford 25 employees. Number 3, you can't afford 12 more employees. Number 4, when we went forward with this design, it was based on operating with existing staff level. Obviously, it is a much bigger facility, so I understand there being an increase. But overall, I would hope that you try to keep it as conservative as possible, or else one bad slip and you're cutting every employee you hired plus your friend.
That's why we saw, when he came to me and said 55, I went, oh, sure. You know, I was shocked as well. I mean, it's not gonna be 55.
Another 3/10 tax.
Yeah, it's not gonna be 55. And the design of the facility, I would agree, it is designed for more efficiency, 100%. But you can't operate in the world of corrections, especially in the state of Washington, by being 100% non-contact supervision. You can't just be indirect supervision all the time. You can't. But that's what the facility is designed for, to be an indirect supervision facility. Our state does not allow us to do that because of the liability it creates for jails. It doesn't. You have to have some direct supervision, bottom line. That's why it's different than how it was brought up and designed by the architect.
I get that.
Not that they were wrong, that's not the case at all, they're not. But I would say if we have this jail probably in Florida or Arizona, we might be able to operate it differently down there. But our state doesn't allow us to do that because of liability reasons, probably some court rulings and other things that are out there like that. But it is definitely not going to be anywhere near 55 at all, so I'm with you on that. I'll be extremely happy if we can get our staff filled by the time we open. That will give us a much better reflection of where we are, because Chuck's right, we're not gonna really know until we get until people get working and understand how the facility is gonna operate and how streamlined and efficient it is built and designed. And I think that you're gonna, once we get in there, even our employees are gonna say, oh my gosh, the efficiency of this is so much better than we ever anticipated compared to the design we have right now. It really is. I think that you're gonna see them understanding that, we don't need 3 people at this post because of the efficiency this facility is designed. So
Mandy heard that, 55 employees, she ran down here to tell you it's not, it ain't gonna happen.
Oh, no, it's not gonna happen. Yeah, so anyway, we totally understand that 55 is absolutely not realistic. It's not even a goal of ours, quite frankly, it's not.
We just want to kind of give you that as a warning, if you did want that document, and you read it, and you're not completely shocked with a little bit of context behind it. So that's the reason why I brought it up. But one other thing, if there's no more did you have something to add, Danny?
Oh, the whole number thing became a little frustrating for me, but Rob said more than I would have said, so I appreciate that.
Yeah.
But he's right, and I understand this, that you got a bigger facility and you gotta move prisoners from place to place in a larger facility. That's gonna take a few more bodies too. And the personal interaction is gonna take a few. So I can see it's gonna be a little more than what we originally were told. But But yeah, that 55 number was just like frustrating. I was
Yeah.
going,
Oh, yeah, that,
Yeah,
oh, believe me, it floored all of us.
yeah, and we're on the same page as you guys, we really are, we totally believe that as well, that 55 is way too many.
Just, totally off the subject for the jail. Our icy roads, have we had a lot of accidents or?
We had one just today, somebody slid into a snowplow today,
Saw
on
that.
Sagebrush Flats. It really, so Public Works has been actually putting down their new,
De-ice or de-slice or whatever they call it.
and it's a game changer. We knew it was gonna be when DOT started using it, so we knew that as soon as Public Works started using it, it's been great. They've done a great job, and the higher traveled roadways that we have in the county have been very, very well taken care of, very well. Yes, so I talked to Andy I think a roundtable last week about it briefly, and I put him in touch with Bo Layman's, he talked to him about it, but it's been much better, much better.
Can I add one little thing real
Yes.
quick? All right, nothing to do with the staffing analysis or anything, but kind of an overall relationship between myself, Sheriff's Office, and Tom Gaines. I've been very active every Wednesday at the new jail build meeting. We continue to engage with the transition team that are still constantly bringing up suggestions to bring up to Tom, to the architect team. Our relationship with Tom has been absolutely great.
Okay.
He has been absolutely open to everything that he had, that we brought to him. He asks questions, which is completely appropriate, which I think that it's part of his job to do. I don't get upset whenever he asks questions. I invite them because he's probably thinking about something that I'm not thinking about. So I just want to make sure that everybody knows our relationship with Tom Gaines is absolutely phenomenal right now, especially moving to that new jail. We talk quite a bit, so.
Good,
I
that's
just wanted
good to
to
hear,
do that
because we
out
don't
there.
always hear the good. We all
You're
hear-
exactly right.
We only hear the bad, so
Yep.
we'll pass that on to HR and let Tom know as well, thank
Well,
you.
good,
Yeah,
yeah,
and we try to share that with Tom as much as we can too. It's just, it really has been great in this process of the jail. And there have been things that we've had to have difficult conversations with, but they're always constructive. They're always have a good ending, but no matter what, and just really easy to talk
I
to.
would say is our most expensive employee because he has come here, we've done the remodel here, we've done a ton of remodels
Yeah.
because of Tom, he's
Yeah.
very proactive on
Yes.
updating. Tom, we
He's
can't
extremely
afford you.
knowledgeable. I mean,
Yeah.
the knowledge he has with that process is, he's very, very knowledgeable, so, yeah.
Well, thank you for those.
Yeah.
Yep.
Uplifting words we will share with Tom.
Perfect, good.
Well, he can watch it on YouTube too.
Okay, yeah. Well, there you go, I look pretty YouTube, Tom, at 12 o'clock. Please listen.
You're the worst.
Okay, 12:01, we are in recess until 1 o'clock.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Looks like we have another.
Online. You're live.
Good afternoon, it is 1:01. We are here for the Commissioners meeting. Welcome. You jump up and close the door, it sounds like. Okay, I can do it, Caitlin. So review of consent agenda items. Well, first, anybody in the room have something to add? Dave?
Public Works does have a walk-on, but I don't know if that's the time that.
Well, that would be a perfect time to start walk on.
Grape and Maple, the project we intend to construct this next year, 2025. So it was discovered that the agreement ends at the end of this year, so we need to extend it a year. So that's the walk-on that I just brought to you. Surprise. We don't want to lose that project. It's a good project for this next year.
Will that be done this year, next year?
Yes, 2025. It would be
That'll be
summer.
nice.
Summer, we're gonna try to get it done before school starts because it goes right up to
You have to keep that rail in there?
the rail does stay there, but we'll have sidewalks that go over it. Sidewalks drop down.
Oh, you're just doing sidewalk?
It's curb gutter and sidewalks and new pavement as
Yeah,
well.
it's pretty rough road.
Oh, yeah, it'll be nice when it's done. That's from Maple and a little bit of Grape as well.
A watchdog. Anybody want to see it? It's right here. for Washington State Department of Transportation Local Agency Agreement Supplement. Have it right here. We've got the walk on. Caitlin, Danny has it.
That's grant funded, right?
Grant funded. And also a special thanks to Rebecca because I surprised her with it and I really appreciate it. Thank you.
You're welcome. A little Christmas surprising. Okay, so we have one walk-on. Any other walk-ons for tomorrow? Okay. Anything else on the, in our hearing room that would like to comment before we start delving into? Rob, did you want to see it?
No, I know project pretty well.
We do have, we're completely creative. We need to hear back from one of my board members. They're supposed to get back to me after their meeting that they were currently in. And we'll follow up to that. The tourism ordinance, remember, so just a reminder, there's up your tourism committee.
So as you brought that up, I might as well comment on that. I've spoken with all 3 committee members in my district. And they are all positive about the way that the committee is moving forward and the work that Rochelle has been doing. And explained to me more than I knew about the whole topic. And I'm gonna be, I'll be able to vote positive for that. It's a 1-year project and hopefully we'll have some more answers from our survey. The tourism study that's being financed during this year, and I think that we'll have a better direction for the following year. It may include Rochelle, it may go a different direction, but they were very positive about the integrity she's actually shown in being very upfront with them and her wanting, even working more than what she was required for the benefit of our county and tourism. She seems very enthusiastic, and they were too. So I'm going to be voting in favor of that.
Okay. Any comments on that, Rob?
No.
Okay, any other comments on the?
Yeah, I have some other questions on consent items.
Okay.
Rob, number 2 has to do with a request for a beginning person, a payroll person, her salary. And I'm wondering, has this gone through PMRT?
Probably, which we would have.
Well, I noticed today
We didn't go through PMRT today.
It did not.
It would have been, I thought it came to HR last week. And we wanted to do standard procedure. This is the request to be hired band 13, step 4.
For which position?
For payroll.
So we got this consent request item from Michelle before HR had their update last week, and then at HR's update, then it was talked about there.
I think we went.
And I reached out to Decorah, Gina, and Michelle asking what standard process means and should this be removed
13.3, I
from
think.
consent. I asked.
Typically, this isn't a consent agenda
No,
item.
I understand.
Okay.
Michelle had turned it in though, and I asked Michelle and Decorah if I was okay to remove this from consent or what, and I did not get a response, and so I did not want to just remove it without getting something from them, so I left it.
Okay, all right, well, that straightens that out. On number 5, I thought that was interesting. I don't remember a mosquito district asking our permission to operate. It was like that their actual mosquito district, they already have permission to operate. What is up with that? Does anybody know?
It flew overhead too.
I wait to see things.
May I interrupt really quick? Danny, it sounds like you're underwater. I don't know if your microphones are up close to you or not. Cindy, you're kind of hard to hear as well. I've gotten an email about being able to hear.
Okay.
Tasting, 1, 2, 3.
Yeah,
Right.
Danny, it sounds like you're underwater. It's really weird. I know Keith is on from Tech Services, so maybe he's hearing this.
I'm very close to my microphones.
See if that helps.
My question has to do with the mosquito district asking our permission to operate, and I'm going, that's a new one to me. I figure if they're a mosquito district, they already have permission to operate. What are we talking about with this item number 5? Does anybody know?
That was from me, Danny. It's a standard letter that they submit each year. I'm still not sure why none of the other mosquito districts submit it, but District 1 does, and so that is the standard. I did read a RCW. They are supposed to request permission.
Okay, well, thank you. I'm just testing to see whether you can answer the question, because I totally remember that they ask every year. Not really. Thank you. I did not see the documentation online. Maybe it was there and I didn't check later. Do we have a name who's being recommended for the Veterans Advisory Committee? Is that listed?
I had emailed it to you guys separately that Friday. I can.
We have somewhere seen it. And it's that large, right?
Yes.
You did email it to us.
Yes,
I
that one
will check
is.
that later. Thank you for that. Apologize.
Oh, it's our core navigator.
Is that our nurses?
No, it's the core navigator who does it in. Yeah.
They sent me the name.
He or she is the core navigator. I don't know if it's conflict to be on there.
I have it here if you'd like to look at it.
I believe that's, look at it.
Yeah, can we look at it?
Well, that's getting passed down. Jim, the professional services agreement on number 14, has that been through PA's office?
It has, yeah.
And
Somebody else.
Cooperative service agreement with USDA, did that also have 4 items? Did that go through the office?
Yes.
The rock crushing contract?
Yes, we had a discussion.
Yeah.
We're gonna update it next year.
Yeah, so we did have a discussion that I don't think this contract is, or I think the contract is probably lacking a few items so in order to be a better contract, I would like to add some things to the contract, but this was the contract that was already in the bid packet. So at this point, I don't feel comfortable trying to change the contract.
We'll work on it for next year.
So we'll just work on it for next year.
I apologize that I'm asking this one, but I could not, where I was yesterday, pull up the actual full list of everything. All I could get was our agenda. And I could see what the items were on the agenda, but I couldn't see whether it happened. And the renew lease agreement, Dell, that PA will sign off on that.
Yes, they did. It's attached to the item.
Thank you. I apologize.
If you go to the very back page, that's where it's attached.
Okay. And the sheriff's agreement on the stop grant, signing permission for Phil. Does that need PA office?
Went through Rebecca, that's kind of one of our reoccurring grants that we get reimbursed for our DV dockets every Tuesday.
And I did review it.
Super, I thank you guys for that. I apologize to go over those because, like I said, I couldn't. Very, very slow internet where I was yesterday and it just wouldn't load, so that's all I have, Madam Chair.
Okay, and I just want to follow up. We had 2 applicants for the vet. One was the core navigator, and that's why my lines were blurred there. So we had 2 applicants.
Could I have it?
Yep. So they made the recommendation to go the other applicant. But who's not the core navigator? Okay, any other roundtable or decision items? Okay, we'll start with district updates.
For me, last week, as most of you know, I was out sick on Monday and Tuesday and had to just do my meetings online. And, which I don't enjoy that. I'd rather be face to face with everybody, but I did make it to the health board meeting on Wednesday evening. in Moses Lake. And,
It was just a hair over 2 hours. We're gonna get.
You'll notice my jumping in with some emotions early there, Commissioner Carter, trying to get things moving. And Thursday, I sent both Cindy and Rob, I sent you my, cursory notes. I took notes on the meeting, on the George wastewater stakeholders meeting, just to kind of bring you up to date on the things that I heard and understood. There was a lot more to the conversation. And I really think that, in my opinion, when it comes down to it, I think that George is gonna have to decide whether they want to become a purveyor of wastewater, opportunities, because they've got potential for port expansion there and the gorge coming in. But, the gorge are gonna have to pay for getting their wastewater to their George's wastewater treatment plant. That's really, part of it's on George, whether they're gonna get the money to do their own, but are they gonna make it big enough to have other customers, which could include the gorge? And the gorge is gonna have to say, are we willing to pay to get that all the way up to George along Road 10, I believe it is, or 1? What is Road 1?
1.
Yeah. Dave, you were there, sorry, and so was Jim. Is there anything else you want to add to that?
Possibility of a sewer district, and then the possibility of having a plant that has almost like double use, if you will, side-by-side use. Because you get a lot of waste coming from the amphitheater, but that spikes. It's a really high spike, and then on the weekends, and then the rest of the week, your bugs have to survive on nothing. Bacteria survive on nothing. And throughout the year too, there's half the year where they're not gonna get all those nutrients. So you have to have a really interesting facility. That's what you heard me talk to them about. There's gonna be a lot of design to get that to work, to try to balance that. And then the concept of a district where maybe it's a separate entity and the district provides the city as well as others, including the amphitheater. And if the amphitheater does make that extension, they can do a latecomers agreement so that others that come along within the next 20 years, if they hook up, they have to pay their share. So it is possible to recover some over the next 20 years if the amphitheater does pay for that extension. There's just a lot going on there.
Well, and George is a little leery of putting in a huge system because if they don't get the gorge, waste, they're definitely overbuilt and will not be able to sustain that. And the reason they're looking for like a district or a municipality is because of funding. There are a lot of grants out there, and without grants, you just can't afford to put something like that in.
And what the city's legal staff brought up is the grants that the city is able to get are different than the grants that a district that provides, say what the amphitheater could go after is more the economic type grants, whereas the city would have to go over the smaller urban type grants. So there's different grant pockets available to those. So that's why the concept of putting them both together and making a separate district. And the advantage of the district is you can go after the grants and perhaps in both areas. But I didn't, from what I was seeing at the table, I don't know if the two parties are a little bit apart still to be able to work that out.
Yeah, when I talk about a district, one of the things that I did not ask, because I was kind of like a back party to this whole, I was just kind of listener in. I think about the farmers along Road 1 who might, or around there, who might get brought into this district idea. They've got their farmhouse, they've got their own personal septic system. There's not a lot of value to them who might be brought into something to have to help pay for it seemed like to me. And I'm thinking, I don't think they're gonna go for it, but they could actually get outvoted on this with you combine the city and everybody that owns property out at Cave B and Sage Cliff. I was thinking, well, they're not gonna be happy about that if
But it should
start having to
be
pay in.
self-supporting if they do have to create the district, but if they go after, like I said, there's a lot of like sewer grants out there, but it has to be a municipality. But they also have, they're required to have outdoor units, like these porta potties, and they can't put any more ponds in. The state will not allow more ponds, so cities don't want that dumped into their lagoons. We're just seeing a lot of the waste that they don't have a place to put it. But we're mandated to have it, and anyway.
Part of the silliness is that part of it gets shipped to Seattle to get shipped back over to the east side to be sprayed on fields. It's just like this.
But yeah, the
Double
gorge is
trip.
definitely the largest collector of it, but when you put all the farms and orchards, it's a problem. So I think just trying to solve one, a bunch of problems with one district.
Do you think the farmers are not going to be willing to, so they can make their porta potties during permit season?
No, you have to have porta potties there, but to be able to dunk the porta potties, they're looking for, where the trucks pick it up, your TP septic tanks that come along, you can't put a lagoon in now, you can't do, Department of Ecology is not issuing land applications, they're not, I mean, they are. It might be old permit or they're not doing it legally. But yeah, they're not issuing permits for new lagoons, so.
One other option.
It's gotta go somewhere.
Was the Gorge doing their own wastewater treatment and the town doing theirs. I just spent, I spent an hour and a half and longer, and I had places to go, right? And I didn't hear a resolution. I just really, it was just kind of like a lot of ideas, but I didn't hear a resolution. Did you guys hear any?
No.
Jim, you want to comment on the meeting?
Yeah, I see it exactly as described. I mean, I didn't speak up at the meeting because I just don't see it coming together. In that Live Nation, they're not gonna spend the money that it's gonna take to make that connection. They're looking to do it on the backs of, possibly the county or the city. The city is not going to carry $45 million on their capital facility plan, to Commissioner Carter's point, on the backs of the citizens of George. I just couldn't see how they were gonna make that work. A special district, what they were talking about is building this oversized sewer treatment plant, building a special district, and then just having it dump into this oversized plant. But I still couldn't just wrap my head around how the financing component of it was gonna work, and what the capital facility element was gonna look like for the city itself. And when I mentioned to Live Nation after the meeting that a developer is able to contribute to the city's capital facility, they're like, we have no interest in doing that. So I don't know. But the Coluscio group potentially could too, because there's, it'd be really, really good to pull all those residences off the septics in that development as well too. So, and I don't know how they're funded. So it's complicated. And then Dave and I were sitting in that meeting going, well, let's think bigger than that. What about Sunland? Can we pull Sunland in and off? But no, there was no resolution. I guess when they put the studies forward, maybe there'll be some more discussions about it, but a lot of smart people in that room though.
Yeah, George got that SIP, so they'll be doing the study and.
Yeah.
Thank you guys for being there, appreciate it.
Last week, had a couple meetings. The main thing I did was obviously my NACO leadership stuff. I ran that last week. I only have one more week and then that's over. I don't even have to finish and I pass, but I'll do this week anyways. I was on the City of Moses Lake City Manager Hiring Committee, and they didn't have a good applicant, unfortunately. So that's going to continue on. doesn't necessarily impact you guys, but it definitely impacts our constituents. So that's just going to be empty for a little bit longer.
What was it again, Ron?
City manager.
Okay.
They have an interim city manager, but he got injured and he'll fill the role. He just doesn't really want to anymore. He's kind of ready to not be at that council's call. And then Friday ended up just busy dealing with county stuff. So other than like MAC dispatch meeting, which Joey touched on, kind of the update on that. That was kind of it.
Yeah, thank you, Rob. I did reach out to Raina just to let her know that we do not have funding for a Japanese exchange, so I'm sure there will be more to come on that. I did touch base just right before this meeting with Jonathan Museum, asking for a monthly budget for 2025 and letting him know that he has $20,000 additional and he cannot, basically, the reimbursement for this year is he's over budget on that, so he will not be able to turn that in. So I did reach out to that. And Andy Public Works, just, the sheriff said the accidents were down for the de-icer, de-slicer, whatever you're putting on the roads. Can you give us just a little update on that? I always think it's fascinating that what we can do on our roads.
Well, our anti-icing, the liquid stuff, we try to concentrate that on the higher ADT areas. It seems to work better with that.
Average daily travel for those who don't
Yep.
do it at 80.
Oh, sorry. White Trail, Stratford out to, I think it's 7 Northeast, things like that. We also use it on a lot of the hills on Adams, Dotson, Beverly Burke, H Southeast, and I think it's E Southeast, some of our steeper hills. And then we also use a granular product for after the roads get slick called Ice Slicer. We mix that with our sand and use that for treating the roads after the ice storm or the snow gets compacted or. So it's 2-part what we're trying to do, and I'm glad it's helping.
Yeah.
You know, I had discussion, I didn't have an answer, so I'm gonna ask. The public works, it says stay 20 feet or 200 feet behind. Is it illegal to pass a snowplow?
A snowplow, is it illegal? I don't think it's illegal.
It's not recommended.
No.
I'm like, I'm really not quite sure, but I will ask an expert.
Yeah, I don't know if it's illegal.
I would point them back to their attorney. They need to go talk to their attorney. We can't give them.
Oh, no, I was just more curiosity because it says stay 200 feet back. Like, can you pass a snowplow? I don't know what the law is on. I was just looking for the law. Yeah, nobody was ticketed for it. I just didn't have an answer.
Well, if it's a law, it's a really bad idea though, to pass.
What was that? You didn't have, not recommended?
Tell her a good response.
Okay.
Excellent response.
I'll Google it up here. Or District 3, that's what we want to know. Can we break the law? Is it okay to pass it? Because we're in a hurry, I guess. I don't know.
I think you can just be prepared for maybe a chip in your windshield or so when you go by.
Well, and the roads being not as nice.
Correct.
Speaking of that, Joey, I was coming home Sunday night and a state didn't shut his sand off. Man, I got plastered.
Oh, yeah.
And I was just like going, guys, seriously? I had just fixed 5 chips in my car windshield a week earlier in 2 days. And then I got hit by the sand from the state truck.
Well, it's another reason to stay back, because we try to do
200 feet, Danny.
we try to do every intersection.
I'm asking for a friend.
Yeah.
He was coming at me.
But another reason to stay back is like we try to sand every intersection, also bridge decks, because they get slick faster than the road would be because it's colder underneath them. So you're not entirely sure when that sander is gonna come on so that he can sand what we've asked him to. Now, coming at you, it should never be on, but if you're behind them and they're hard, it's hard to see traffic behind you while you're doing it. There's a lot going on in those trucks.
Okay, it says in the United States it is not illegal to pass a snow plow, but it said, might think, can one pass a snow plow? And it says, no, in Washington state, you should not pass a snow plow, as it's considered unsafe due to limited visibility. That's some other things. with debris being thrown. So, not recommended. Okay. That's all I have for District 3 update. So, the museum invoices to be paid, I believe we addressed that no, we will not be reimbursing the museum for the 2024 since they are out of revenue. The budget is used up. Any other questions on that? The doctors are notified. The regional diversion work group, interlocal agreement and contract for services. So I think I've got the changes. Rebecca, I see your changes. The board is gonna look at it, so thank you for reviewing that.
Yeah, I don't know if it was clear, but not only were there some recommended edits, like word edits, but there are also comments.
Okay, good. Well, I couldn't, when I was pulling it up, I couldn't see the highlighted, so I look at the highlighted stuff. I did see it today. So I wanted to look at them earlier, so thank you.
So I have a question about that. So is that a working model right now? Or we're being asked to pass that, aren't we, to tomorrow? If it's a work in progress, I'm not sure I wanna approve it. Is it gonna go back to the?
I have provided my comments to you, and so it would be up to you guys.
I think the changes are pretty minimal and I don't anticipate that.
I don't believe it's on the agenda for next week or this week.
Oh, this
I've
is
been
just a
waiting
discussion.
for the commissioners to decide what you wanted to do. So that was the discussion that was supposed to happen today. So I just need direction from the board.
Okay, because Barbara asked me what to do and I wanted input from the commissioner. So if you are okay with the agreement.
Well, is that how it came to us, is you put an FYI out?
Yeah.
Oh, I see.
And I don't know, the commission handle it, if they're just, it looks good, they pass it on. I didn't want to make that decision, so.
And I'm assuming we have to send it back to Kevin Overbay for their thoughts on changes Grant County wants to make. That's what I thought.
Okay, so if you're okay with that, we can send it back to Kevin, the facilitator then?
Yeah, I would.
Rob?
Yeah.
Okay, so Barb, if you could send the revised copy back to Kevin, Commissioner Overbay.
Okay, I will send that back to Commissioner Overbay.
That's all I have for my roundtable items. Is there anything else? Danny's go-to party is Wednesday. That's why biggest thing we have going on this year. Besides Christmas.
I don't prefer the name Going Away.
What is it?
Park, getting rid of, park, no, not that either.
Any garbage day?
What is it? What is it?
It's a garbage day?
Yeah, that too, I guess.
Garbage bag.
I wanted to, throw out a couple things on ARPA.
Okay.
So I've been working on a list of possibilities and I'm hoping that next, Monday or Tuesday, we can have a meeting to kind of close that out, but, I did receive word that, Jacobs Well has a 501c3 that is, agreed to take them on. They had a few questions for us. Rebecca referred them to go back to their attorney for the answers. I appreciate that, Rebecca, thank you. So I'm hoping to keep that 44 in there. We've allocated to the Crossroads, we allocated to the Early Learning Center, but we're still gonna have some money in a little bit in both areas. And we have a request from coming for us tomorrow that I'm gonna suggest we hold for a week on the Abidex up at Public Works. And trying to figure out whether we can pull that out of non-county allotment based on COVID issues or not. Because a lot of that stuff was put in originally because of COVID, to be able to have remote meetings and have people involved in a remote situation better. So, anyway, I'm getting that list ready. I'm working on it and hope to have us be able to allocate final allocations, next Monday or Tuesday. Barb, do we have a meeting set at all, or is there room in the schedule to put that in for Monday or Tuesday? Wait a second, next week is Christmas, there's only a Monday.
There'll be time on Monday after the commissioners meeting.
Okay.
Danny, what do we need from the city of Moses Lake since they are not going to go through with their project? Do I need to get a real letter from somebody there?
I think we do.
And then,
Because we wanna do we'll wanna do an allocation on those funds as well.
yeah, we wanna allocate them to the morgue or to whatever we
Yeah.
decide to do.
Yeah. I would suggest that they
I've
send
been
us a
told
letter
by
with a decision of what they're doing. So that they'll be, reimbursing us some sort of a letter that says they're reimbursing us the $585.
But then we need to be able to give them something that says you'll be reimbursing us and by when.
Right. Would you prefer I put a letter together from the commissioners to signify the beneficiary agreement? We understand you're not gonna be utilizing them, but for what they were allocated for, we need the funds back. It's based on the provisions of your beneficiary agreement. So we'd appreciate a letter, let us know how you'll be handling that.
And we need a date that we require it back.
Okay.
Because they made the decision to give it back, they don't really know when. So we need to give them a when.
Encouragement day?
Oh, a day, yeah.
I still think that we can allocate that $585 for the end of this year, even if we give them a date of, say, June 1.
Yeah, okay.
Because the
June one
morgue's,
seems a little.
the morgue's not going
Nice.
up right away.
I'd say in the first quarter.
I don't know if I'd go that far out.
February, March 31st, or April 1st.
Well, it's tax day. We need it before tax day.
Okay. I'll put a letter together, maybe it'll be a walk on tomorrow,
Okay.
as far as a letter that will.
We could have 2
I
walk-ons.
think we're gonna be a little more lenient on walk-ons for our own, because we're getting into this ARPA and we don't wanna have money sitting on the table. So.
Okay, anything else? Well, if not, it's 1:35 and we are in recess until 2 o'clock. And we meet with Public Works for their weekly update. Is it warm in here or is it just me?
No, it's ripping hot in here.
Okay, so Dave, you're like, man, I was just like warm and I ain't never been here.
It's always hot here. Man, live, it's like boiling.
Dave, you
And when you're late, the zipper stop working.
I'm happy to cool it off for you.
No, don't shut it.
Easy on, good afternoon, it's 2 o'clock, we're here for Public Works, with Public Works for their weekly update, welcome.
Where's your laptop, Dave? Not gonna show us any fun pictures?
No show and tell today.
No show and tell?
Tell.
Jeez.
We didn't have a lot.
I am a visual learner, and so might as well go to sleep right now.
It's all on our website though. Yeah, we have, Dave and his team have done a great job updating our website. It's radically different.
Well, I'm still waiting, Tom, he knows we have pictures to hang up, so they're still here.
Oh, yeah, those are nice pics.
Very nice pictures.
It's,
We'll have to get them up before the party, the celebration party, what do we call it, celebration of
it's not
Dave's
retirement.
next life.
It's like, is it second or third retirement, really?
You talking about me?
Yeah, is it a retirement
It's
party? Would it be called?
like good riddance party?
Job transition.
Farewell?
Job transition, that's a good one. Farewell.
Life
Our
stages?
Third retirement. Third retirement.
Is this your third retirement, Danny?
He's adding them up.
There's an ag, there's being a pastor, so, but you're going back to that, so.
Coaching?
Coaching, so this is your fourth retirement.
2000, what, 2000?
Don't look at us.
16?
Okay.
Let me see, when COVID, 2019.
Yeah, I haven't coached since we didn't get to defend our 2 state championships.
So it's 4th retirement party.
Strong. He's probably gonna take his next act on the road with his son, become a singer.
Cool. Oh, we saw that. YouTube.
You saw me singing?
Yeah, a piece of it. You can't get away from it.
I'm sorry.
No, yeah, it was not what I expected. You actually have quite a bit of talent. Everybody.
He started real
I
low.
love it.
And started climbing.
Because I don't remember.
Pretty good. You have a lot of talent.
I don't remember who was dying to show me, so I thought it was gonna be,
Like real bad.
yeah, real
No.
bad. And then you started singing and I'm like, I don't get it, he's really good.
Well, thank you.
They might be taking it on the road. Yeah, that could be your next.
Be carrying equipment, that's what I'd be doing on the road with him. Bogey.
Well, we only had one thing on consent today, and it was that wildlife services, they take care of the bird control out at solid waste.
So we have three things on consent.
Well, Diatley.
Okay, and your walk on.
And
The Diatley.
Oh, that's right.
you don't have that on your
Yeah,
sheet,
mine
do
didn't
you?
get on there, sorry.
Carry
Yeah,
on.
the crushing was a late one too, so
Yes.
we appreciate letting us get it on there. So the only one I had, I guess, was the wildlife services contract, so I don't know if you had any questions on that. The dollar amount didn't change overall, they did shift a little bit around, and Rebecca did review it, so.
What do you do?
They control our bird population.
If necessary, shoot them, right? But
The reallocation.
they try to move them on.
And that's at the gravel pits or at?
The landfill, so.
I was trying to
Oh,
figure
the
out how they would, what are they gonna have, turn on the air guys.
Well, they do use sonics as well too, but it does say in there that if necessary,
We can terminate.
call them. I guess that's the term, call.
Yeah. So it's one that we've been we've had with them for several years. I really appreciate Rebecca. We got it last week from Wildlife Services and she was able to look it over pretty quickly because it's one of those, if we don't have our agreement in place by, I think it's the end of January, we have to reapply for this permit. So really appreciate Rebecca getting right on that, so. That was all I had for consent, Dave.
And the crushing contract,
It's a big one.
yes, 1.4 for next year's crushing.
You guys provide the pits,
Yes,
they do the crushing.
yes. It should be noted that neighboring county, Lincoln County, has their own crushing plant and they do their own in-house crushing. I was unaware of that until now.
And they can do that?
They can, and we don't have an interlocal with them, but it's worth maybe discussion this next year to see, especially for District 1, because they're so close to District 1, if we have crushing needs up in District 1.
We have they have portable pits, aren't they, like 1.8 million, 1.7 million for a portable crusher?
I don't know. That I would have to look into. The costing and
But can we, like if we could, or is that something that?
it's a possibility.
Okay, 'cause
Something
sometimes
that-
on your road, you have to contract out, we can only do, I didn't know that was something.
I see what you're saying. You're saying that, is that considered part of our annual construction limitation?
Can you do it, or is it you're impacting private business?
So it's not part of
Private
the
sector.
road fund.
Okay.
So it's a materials type thing. So that's a good question.
Well, we have our pits, yeah.
We purchase actually from it for our projects. It is a completely separate fund from the road fund.
Okay.
So it's just like we would purchase from, like you said, from a private source.
Yeah, like, I know there's labor involved, but you could practically pay for your own.
It's interesting. I was unaware that other counties do their own crushing.
We have not approached Lincoln County, but we are gonna talk to them. See
Yeah,
if they're
probably a
interested.
question for John, but have we ever run into a situation where, because we didn't have our own, we needed the rock and somebody wasn't available and so we got stuck without being able to do a project because they weren't available to crush for us?
We have had to purchase from
Additional.
local materials people sometimes in certain areas when we didn't have it at a pit close by.
That happened this year, Dan.
Because it's still cheaper. If we haul out of one of our pits from a long ways away, there is that yes, the cost of the time and the equipment to make that haul route, whereas if we purchase it close by, even though the material's more expensive, it's still cheaper because of the number of trips we can take with the same equipment. So distance is everything with gravel operations.
And we're trying to improve that. We've gotten down on our pits a little bit and where they're located, and we're trying to remedy some of that, but it's a process. So I would guess it'd be maybe 5 years before we could even open up a new pit with all the stuff that we need to do. Not just requirements, but we need to dig test holes, all the studies that need to be done. But it is on our radar, and we're trying to work on adding a few more and in the right locations. That's the other thing. So
When you close a pit, does that mean there's no more good material? Or because it's having to go too deep for it? Or, it seems like a lot of the basalt we have around here just goes on and on and on and we get deep stuff.
The limits of the property too, because
You have to have a
cannot
slope.
purchase from
Yeah, you have
somebody
to leave
around
a
it.
slope. You can't do it.
And that's true, the city's talking about the reclamation of it, the 3-to-1 slopes. When you're all done, you have to, when you reclaim it, you gotta make it a safe pit. You can't have those vertical walls anymore. But you're right, you can only get so close to the property lines. And then we may have to purchase some property, maybe we can. So and then there's also sometimes the rock doesn't continue past a certain point. Maybe we have a gravel lens starting there. The geology is interesting.
Don't worry, I'm just looking for a crusher here.
You're looking for a $2 million crusher.
shopping?
She's on Facebook Marketplace.
It's not too crazy.
MachineryTrader.com. No, I
If you
really,
think of it, if we're purchasing, like last year it was 1.7 million, this year it's 1.4 million. So we're $1.5 million per year. In Lincoln County, for example, they move their crushing unit from around, basically they move it around their pits. They just keep this process going and they prepare all the
You
material they
don't
need.
do that?
Say again?
You don't crush your own?
We have a contract for a crushing company to come in. We do provide the pit though. Here's the pit.
Yeah, I know that.
But they come in and they crush it. So I would like to see how it works for Lincoln County. Also check just to make sure that it doesn't count against our total contracting allowance, if you will. Which
I think it would.
It shouldn't.
I mean, if it does, we'll put it under the commissioners.
We already have a separate fund for it, so I think it's good. In addition to crushing, there's also the striping, if we're able to buy our own striping truck and do it in-house as well. So possibilities.
Wouldn't that be considered just maintenance, or does maintenance go against that also?
Striping would be maintenance, for sure.
And we did our own striping in the past. The equipment we had got so out of date that we surplused and went to doing it by contract, but it's quite expensive. There's lots of benefits. One, I think it would save us money. Two, you have issues where we go out and we do a shoulder patch and we have to try to leave the fog line because the striper has no more plans to come back for the year. Or bridge deck sealing, same thing. We have to put those tabs down if it's striped. And if he's not coming back for the year, there isn't much more we can do. We try to do it by hand. Or if we had our own truck, we would have the flexibility to, hey, we did shoulder patching on all of Frenchman Hills Road, send the stripers out when we're done and do the fog line where we need to.
And
it's
striping.
so much a mile, or not a mile, a foot.
So we spend about $800,000 a year now on striping, and that has to happen during a window.
Let me
like a
Google
month.
striping truck, so maybe mine.
So new tab. It's about $500,000. So if you think $400,000 to buy, or sorry, $500,000 to buy the equipment plus the materials are actually
Paint is
yearly,
expensive.
we have to pay for paint. But once we have, and it has to be a modern piece of equipment because we want to be as efficient as possible with it.
Yeah, our sign shop used to be the ones that were in charge of it and operated it. That's how we did it in the past.
That would allow us to paint a longer period of the year rather than everything has to happen in 1 month when the contractor comes. We will be able to, we chip sealed late this, or we did work over here in August. We have to wait until next year to get it painted, right? No, we can do it ourselves now. So moving
Well, they have
forward.
one at Gov Planage for 95,000. It's a 2006.
We want to get the new ones that have the lasers.
That would be
Have you,
pretty nice.
so when you're driving around, take a look at our striping and how tight it is. You can see it goes right over the previous striping really well. The contractor we use actually is very good. And then compare and contrast that with some of the agencies that you see
Oh,
where
it's just
the lines
they're
are
like
triple
wiggling,
and double.
Or you're like, okay, let me
It's
get back on the line.
embarrassing.
Turning, you're like, they just like, getting off the road, they're
Exactly.
like missed it a bit.
If I was the supervisor, I would send them out there with black paint.
16-foot lane
So
and an 8-foot
embarrassing.
lane.
Paint over that and do it again. Wow.
Yeah,
You know which ones I'm talking about.
Up in
I'm not gonna throw WashDOT under the bus, but
up in our
It's like they sneezed or something.
W that connects with Old Cooley Highway there.
Oh, yeah.
coming toward my house. There was like, so my lane feels really narrow and this one looks really wide. What were you measuring off of over here? Because
see, that's another thing. A newer, really modern ones have GPS. So as you're effectively, when you're painting, you're collecting that information. And it can be plus or minus a foot. I mean, they can get much tighter and they wouldn't be off by 5 feet like that anymore. So it should
well,
be.
there ain't 5 feet to be room.
Yeah.
If we're 2 feet, you're gonna notice it on that.
Oh,
road.
yeah,
There's no shoulder and yeah, we that's not this paint job though. This paint job after the recent chip seal, pretty good. I don't hardly tell much difference between the lanes.
I actually been quite happy when I drive around the county looking at our striping. It's actually very good.
Yeah, the contractor, he does an excellent job, the one we've had for the last 2 or 3 years.
He's about ready to retire.
Let's buy his truck.
I know.
Well, your knees wear out after a while with that paintbrush on.
Some people have the eye, the knack, right? And it's true.
And some people don't.
Exactly.
Also true.
What is it, 262 might be the one that looks a little rough in spots.
So we do have 2 discussion topics as well.
Yeah,
There's the WashDOT property. $17,000.
$17,600 for, it was 135 acres. It has an old gravel pit that's been closed out. And the state has offered it to us. And
Seems like a lot of acreage.
It is.
Well, and they went by there just on the freeway, and the portion to the west, it's a narrow strip, and it looks like excellent habitat for like a mitigation project or something like that. It's
You
something.
guys aren't saying smart move because it's a good place to get gravel and rock. You're saying it's a good mitigation opportunity.
So solid waste for the new solid waste facility, because we have to, the ground that we're looking at will have to be mitigated.
Yeah.
And you would basically put aside, because that's 17,000 for 117 acres, including 60 of high value
Shrub staff.
Yeah.
That would get set aside, that would help provide for. So that
Some
was,
mitigation acres.
that was what you were talking about, was that maybe it's solid waste that purchases it, not the road fund, but solid waste specifically allocated for future mitigation. However, I think it should be evaluated before doing that. So
If we can get them out there before the 60 days are up, that's, not sure about that.
we need at least a preliminary recommendation. It is only 17,000.
Yeah.
And making sure that there's not anything, any underlying problem that we're not aware of. as well.
So what's your reason for bringing it to us?
We're looking at moving forward with at least telling them that we're considering purchasing it, and it would be solid waste, not the roads fund.
You don't need
Discussion
permission-
only.
You don't need permission to do that, right? This is just
I think
FYI.
it's the county, I think the county has to.
I think you have to sign off on the purchase of
Binding
land.
agreement, so we would somehow.
Yeah, for right now, it's FYI,
Okay.
because we will need, I think we do need your permission if
To buy
we
land.
choose to purchase it.
So you, Dennis, would you have Dennis, what is his last name? Beach. Dennis Beach that would maybe do the mitigation analysis? Do the shrub step analysis on it, something like
Basically
that?
do a preliminary investigation.
You have the contact?
To determine value.
I need to talk
I
with.
think I have his email.
Okay.
So coordinate with me, Dennis Beach. And we need to respond to WashDOT to tell them that Grant County, specifically Solid Waste Department, is interested in purchasing it. We are moving forward with the evaluation, preliminary evaluation of the site.
Okay.
But I think it's really important because other people are probably talking to them as well. So we need to make sure that, because it appears that we're in what's called first position, where we get to make that call within 60 days. The second item is the WashDOT agreement. Because Sam Castro has left us and we have an interim, WashDOT wants me to go ahead and prepare an updated CA agreement. Basically, the CA agreement says who is allowed to conduct the grant operations and with the feds and to the state. It basically says, hey, the public works director or county engineer. When I read it, I actually believe there's enough flexibility, but they're saying we have to give them an update. So WashDOT is requesting an update. So all of that is forthcoming. It's called a CA agreement update.
What's the CA stand for?
Let's see if I can remember. Certifying agency.
Or certifying agent?
We are a certified agent. We are under full certified agent status. So this allows us to basically get federal and state grants and to walk those projects through. Also to issue the STBG fund to and grants to the smaller local agencies. So we're in a position where we can run those grants, if you will. And if we lose CA authority, we won't be able to get any federal and state money for roads. So it's bad. We're not in a position where we're gonna lose it. They're just saying, hey, update us because it appears that your org chart is old and they wanna see on our org chart who's doing what. They actually want names on the org chart, at least I can write them. So this is forthcoming and I'll bring it back to you. Last time we signed it was 2020. So those two discussion items are forthcoming, most likely forthcoming consent. That's all I had.
That's all I have.
Okay, I just sent you Dennis Beach's email.
Awesome, thank you.
It's a Hotmail account, but there are a few people that still have a Hotmail
I
account.
remember that with him, yep.
Okay, well, it's still him then.
Nice.
Because Sam, I tracked it down by an email that Sam had been working with him, so Sam Castro, so.
Then when you're having those discussions about the evaluation of this, also have that discussion about how do we move forward with some sort of mitigation bank like this? Is this an appropriate parcel for a mitigation bank, et cetera?
I will. Yeah, I will.
Well, thank you.
It's 16 acres, right? That mitigate, that WashDOT property?
Oh, it's more than that. So a total of 117 acres, of about 60 of it to the west is
For
this.
$17,600.
I know. That's why I think it's pretty much a straightforward deal here. I think we're gonna do it, but it's a matter of
60 acres.
117 acres, 60 of which is to the west, which is completely untouched, to The east, it's the pit and some other, there's like a drainage course that runs through.
Yeah.
I know, 117 acres for 17 grand. Yeah.
At least from the freeway, the stuff to the west, looks like.
Grab it now, because with the
know.
deficit they've got, they'll be asking $317,000 for it.
I think it's pretty much a no-brainer, but we need to make sure that that there's nothing unusual about it, say an environmental issue. You never know. Sometimes when things are too good to be true, they are.
Well, they come from the state, they're honest about it, so.
Yeah, they should.
Okay, is there anything else?
Oh,
Okay,
yeah.
hearing none, it is 2:22 and we are in recess until tomorrow morning at 8:30 a.m.